Welcome to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me, and as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Grumpy, how are you?
Fine. How about you?
Not too bad. What do you got going on over there? You're readjusting now.
Don't worry about it. Just go with the show.
Just go with the show. Go with the show.
And, we're late today. Why? Because TJ's trying to reinvent the wheel. I keep on telling him nobody wants to hear that, his little ringtone anytime somebody calls in. So he's trying to do something to make it less obtrusive today. We'll see if it works out. Since TJ's running, I'm going to say probably not. But let's see what happens. We'll go with that.
You know what it's like? I was trying to explain to him, a grumpy old man, what the plan was. And you're listening to it. I could just tell immediately you're just like, it's not going to work. It didn't matter what I was going to say, Grumpy. It didn't matter what I told you as we put in provisions to make sure it does go smoothly. You're shaking your head saying, not going to work.
So when it doesn't go smoothly, should I just say I told you so?
Oh,
that's what should happen?
No, Grumpy.
Because my suggestion to you would have made it much more pleasant to the viewers and the listeners, but you don't seem to care about that.
That's not a loaded statement at all, Grump.
You only care about yourself and your own technical prowess, quote unquote, technical prowess.
Yeah.
I know how to pick up a phone. That's all I know. I got a landline. I know how it works.
Oh, come on, grumpy old man. The Islanders, since our last podcast on Tuesday evening with the lovely Kim, win 2 games in impressive fashion against the very lowly New York Rangers.
Yeah, we're better than the Rangers. Just like Washington and Pittsburgh and Boston are better than us. Well, we're better than the Rangers. It was never in doubt. I didn't think we'd get back-to-back shutouts by Varlamov, who's now set an Islander team record for most consecutive minutes of shutout hockey. When he got over 178 and change, he beat out Chico Rush's record. So now it's like he's put it way out there now.
I was about to say, there's no better time than to have goalies coming into form as well. Anthony Beauvillier seems to be picking it up, and he seems to be getting hot at the right time. Yeah,
and it also helps that, he kind of owns the Islanders too. Not to
he owns the Rangers, is what you meant.
The Rangers, yeah, I'm sorry. Not to put down what he's done because he was fantastic. His thing, when he's hot, he's hot. And when he's going well, whatever line he's on is going to perform really, really well.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we've talked about it, and we're going to dive more into it. The Islanders had 6 games here since our last podcast. Had 2 against the Rangers, 2 against the Devils, as well as 2 against the Sabres. And even though they were playing a very, very poor hockey until that point, I really think this is a chance for them to build momentum. Momentum is a funny and odd thing in sports. I'm not saying it's going to propel us to a Stanley Cup winning against, 6 games against the lowly, 6 games total against the lowly Rangers, Sabres, and Devils. But it helps you build momentum, and it's helping get us on the right track, I think.
Well, what do I like about how we're playing right now? And this was even before the Ranger game. Our penalty kill has been really, really good in the last month or so. Really good. It was interesting. I was at an Islanders meetup today in Charlotte, Isles CLT, run by Mikey Ryan, who has a podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. Don't ask me the name. I don't remember it.
It's okay. It's a bar down breakdown, but you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. But nice guy. And I went there for the first period tonight. I went downtown to watch some of the game. And, I met some nice people. That's one thing. The meetup groups are always nice. Just a great group of people, just like the Islanders, really, just a great fan. And, the one thing, there was actually a guy there, if you can imagine this, wearing a freaking Messier jersey. An old Ranger Messier jersey. I was like, holy shit. And, I'm like, and they give him the second goal. He looked at me. He said, it's going to be a long night for you, bro. That's exactly what I said to him. I said, and, what could he say? They picked on him a little bit. it's not like the Ranger fans. Like if you go into Madison Square Garden, when the house is rocking and you're wearing the other team's jersey, man, you're going to get stuff thrown at you. You're going to get kicked. Ththese people are way too nice.
They're going to throw batteries at you from the stands, right, Grump?
Well, I don't think they throw batteries at the people, but maybe beer, stuff like that, or they fall, stuff they get tripped accidentally. I mean, I only spit at the guy twice, so I just thought it'd be nice, just to be nice.
I was saying I was paying homage to the worst.
Maybe it was some type of penance he had to pay, because I don't know why you would come into an Islander greet up or an Islander meetup and wear a damn Ranger jersey. Now, there was a guy there who wore a Capitals jersey too. I don't know what the hell he was thinking.
You guys must be so starved for hockey fans in Charlotte. It was the entire group of hockey and NHL fans clumped into one area.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't go uptown much, but probably. And then I saw somebody with a Hurricanes jersey, but that was cool. I mean, it is Carolina territory, and they were playing a Carolina game in the bar right next door. So, I can't put him down for that, honestly.
Well, I don't want to let you ramble.
And he didn't infiltrate our group, the Islanders group.
The Islanders, the diehards. I don't want to. We'll kind of change gears here a little bit because we do have an ad to read to before we jump into everything Islanders news-wise, grumpy old man. But basketball season won't be around forever. So let's get on all the action now with DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. DraftKings is giving new players a free shot of millions of dollars in total prizes. Claim your free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes when using the code THPN during signup. Playing daily fantasy basketball is simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the sweat like never before. Every dunk, steal, and assist means so much more with DraftKings daily fantasy lineup. Baseball fans also. I know you've missed out on a season-long fantasy last year. Now's the time to get on all the daily fantasy action where DraftKings has even more ways to make it rain. With DraftKings, payday comes every day for players. So what are you waiting for? Head to the app now and download the DraftKings app now. Use the code THPN during signup. This week, DraftKings is putting you in all the action to free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Again, that's code THPN, and you get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. A minimum of a $5 deposit is required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Grumpy.
Yeah. I mean, great. Go to DraftKings. You got to make a bet, and you don't want to get your legs broken by some guy named Nunzio or Guido who you owe big money to. I mean, maybe you lose your house. I don't know, worst case scenario. But at least you're not going to have broken limbs when you don't pay up. Actually, I think you have to kind of give them the money that you're betting.
You got to give it up front, so it's not like you go ahead and take out a loan of a personal favor or anything like that, Grump.
Yeah, so it's not like you got to go, borrow money from a loan shark to place a bet if you lose. Like, hey, place $2 on the Rangers, or place $2,000 on the Rangers. I don't have it. Yo, okay, we'll place the bet. Then they lose, and then, hey, where's my $2,000? I don't have it. Snap.
You want to know something weird? I don't gamble all that often. Do you want to guess what the payout was if you put $29,000 on Trevor Lawrence being the first overall pick in this year's NFL draft? Do you want to take a guess what the payout was for that?
$29,500.
It was a $59 payout if you put up essentially $30,000 that Trevor Lawrence was going to be the number one overall selection.
Well, yes, because everyone knew it. So you're not going to get odds for that. Well, and today is the Kentucky Derby, just to let you know.
Wow. Well, shows you how much I paid attention. Definitely did not watch the Kentucky Derby today.
I enjoy horse racing.
Oh, goodness gracious.
The big races, the big ones.
I think there's a few things I want to talk about here first. I know we played the lowly Rangers, and they're not, a team of the ilk of the Bruins or the Penguins or the Capitals, but I thought we looked very impressive in both wins. As I mentioned earlier, I think Beauvillier is getting hot at the right time. Mat Barzal seems to be creating a little bit. And, I'm not going to say this player is a great player or a first-line caliber player, but Leo Komarov had a pretty nice goal.
Really? Are we going there already? I want to talk about the pleasantries first. Because everyone's going to say, grumpy old man, what could he possibly have to be grumpy about? Well, I'm going to tell you what. I'm grumpy at Butch, the Islanders organization, the NHL. I'm going to let them all have it tonight, every single one of them.
Well, let's talk happy things. Let's talk play, and then we'll talk about that topic, because I know what you're talking about, and I know the listeners to this podcast and the live stream, I'm sure, could only guess what you're talking about Butch making you upset, the NHL making you upset, everybody under the sun making you upset. I know what you're going to talk about. I want to talk about the positives here from the gameplay first, Grump.
Okay. Well, you brought up Leo Komarov's name. Okay. That was a trigger for me.
Oh, come on.
Just letting you know. Okay. So what are the positives? We're playing excellent defensively right now. Excellent defensively. I mean, even against the Capitals, we lost. Well, what was the score of the second Capitals game? That one had some. I was high scoring, but before then we lost 1-0. Our defense has been playing really well, really sound defensively, limiting for the most part high leverage scoring chances, keeping everything to the outside. We're really playing well defensively.
You asked quick, Grump. You asked what was the loss there most recently to the Capitals. It was 1-0.
Okay, what about the one before, the game before?
It was 6-3 in the Capitals' favor, and the game before that, the first game we played in that series was a 1-0 Capitals win in shootout.
Okay, so with the exception of the one game we lost 6-3, our defense has been stellar, okay, which is great. Going into playoffs, you want to be able to be playing good defense. So that's a positive. Our penalty kill is an absolute positive. I mean, those are the pluses right now. Our goaltending has been really good. Varlamov had a couple of big saves today. Sorokin, even though he lost 1-0 in that game, I didn't think he was. He made a good nice save on a breakaway, but not super tested, is what I'm saying. So the Islanders' defense is playing extremely well right now, and that's great going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, power play seems to be gaining a little bit of momentum. What a shock when you put Oliver Wahlstrom back there on the ice and he scores a power play goal. Again, I'm not saying he's end-all, be-all on the power play, but we talked about it. Even after the 1-0 loss to the Capitals, that lineup we were rolling out there offensively was about as close to the best lineup we can roll out there. Noah Dobson was inserted back into the lineup, and seriously, the lineup we are rolling out on a consistent basis, game in, game out, as of recent, is about the best forward group we can put out there. We could split hairs about who needs to be the first line left winger. To be honest, I'm just happy Wahlstrom's put back in the lineup. And again, the defensive pairing is exactly ideally what you would like here heading into the playoffs, with Noah Dobson cemented into that role. And this is about the best lineup we're going to see rolled out there with the Islanders. So now it's about, hey, continuing to build upon the chemistry the lines have and getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, let's see if we can score against good teams. I expect us to win probably the next 4 games, and then the battle with Boston is probably going to determine if we're a 3 or 4 seed. That's what I think it's going to come down to.
Well, it's also worth mentioning, with this win against the Rangers, this is now the 3rd year in a row the Islanders have clinched the playoffs.
Yeah, and we clinched it early. Right? I mean, it was pretty obvious that the top 4 teams really separated themselves, I want to say, a month ago. You kind of knew who was going to make the playoffs. No surprise. I don't think the Rangers are mathematically eliminated, but they will by the next time they touch the ice.
No, yeah. So the Rangers technically are not mathematically eliminated. They would have to win every single game, and the Boston Bruins would have to lose every game in regulation in order for the Rangers to squeak into the playoffs. So it's not happening. The playoff picture is set, but you're right. I mean, the seeding obviously is still a variable in this equation.
Yep. You got to figure the top 2 seeds are going to be Washington and Pittsburgh. And then it's us and Boston for 3 and 4. Boston lost 2 winnable games, which I thought if they would have won those, I thought they were just going to roll and win division, but that's not going to happen. They're going to wind up coming in 3rd or 4th. They have a game in hand. That's bad news for us, because if they win out, they take over 3rd, and then we get beat by Washington or Pittsburgh in the first round.
Oh, come on now. Yeah, I'm not going to jump to conclusions here saying, hey, I know what the outcomes are going to be. There's still a lot of changes that could be had before the season's over. There's a lot of different outcomes that can happen. And I'll tell you, when you're in the playoffs and you're in a playoff series, anything can happen. That's worth saying.
Is that like your motto? You say it every single podcast. Anything could happen. You make it to the playoffs. Anything could happen.
I'm going to tell you something. If somehow miraculously the Islanders make a long playoff run, I'm just going to have that little clip every single time. And, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to make a montage of me saying that, and you just taking a dump on that idea, Grump, and it'll just be proving you wrong.
It's true that anything can happen, but you don't have to say it every podcast. You don't have to say it. The most important things to make sure that you bring up is that Simon Holmstrom, Casper, is just a terrible draft pick, and we've had the three amigos who have surpassed him. I don't mention that every single podcast, about Tomasino and Kaliev and McMichael. I don't bring that up every podcast.
You bring that up every podcast, or 95% of the times we're on air. I'll tell you this. Let's move and migrate a little bit. This is a topic that we did not cover last Tuesday, but I think it's worth covering now. There is a new TV deal, and again, we're late to the party talking about this. A new TV deal there for the NHL. You're looking, the past deal they had there with NBC Sports Network was roughly about $200 million. NBC Sports Network, I think, is changing as well, so we knew that wasn't going to be the home there long term for the NHL. Well, ESPN works out a deal there with the National Hockey League. They more than double the revenue they'll get there from that TV deal over a 7-year time span. And there's also, again, the potential to earn up to $600 million over that per year. So, I mean, you're taking a jump there where with NBC Sports Network, the league was making roughly $200 million there a year. And with additives, the NHL is going to be making anywhere from $400 million to $600 million a year with ESPN as well as TNT. Okay. So you talk about a big jump there.
Well, ESPN already had their deal. This other portion is where NBC is now out totally. NBC is done, and those games are going to TBS, TNT, that group of channels, and it's like double what they were making on the from what they're making for the NBC.
That's what I just said.
Well, but you said ESPN. That's a separate deal. They're not tied in. That's a separate deal.
There's multiple different networks they're working with: ESPN, TNT, TBS. Total, they could be looking at $600 million a year, lowballing it $400 million a year. They've at least doubled on average what they were making per year as a TV deal.
I thought it was like upwards of 750. It was double what they were making. Okay, long story short, they were going to make double the rights that they made previously. And the first thing that I thought was, I heard it was up to $750 million. That's what I heard. Okay, but here's the thing. You want to know the first thing I thought was, my God, these players are getting – the players in the NFL are absolutely getting screwed by the owners. I mean, the NFL just signed a deal that's like $11 billion over the next 10 years. $11 billion. Think about that. Billion with the B, as opposed to millions. And you look at how much they have many more players in the NFL, and they get paid a pittance. I mean, that was the first thing I said that I thought. But this is good news for the NHL. Why? Because it means that maybe we'll get out of this flat cap a little bit sooner.
It helps the teams also recover a little bit when we're talking about them, for the most part, for the better half of more than a calendar year, not being able to have fans in the stands. The NHL is, if you look at the Big Four, they're a league that had to rely more upon ticket sales than any other, NBA, MLB, or the NFL. So you talk about how much the coronavirus impacted the Big Four. It impacted, the NHL quite substantially.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, this is good news. This is good. Is it the best news possible? I was hoping. I didn't realize that the NHL was getting that little amount of money from TV.
Yeah.
But hey, at least it's a step in the right direction, right? I mean, that's all you can hope for.
For certain it is. And I just thought it was worth mentioning. I think maybe we're going to get out of the flat cap, hopefully, after this CBA here expires. Maybe we're going to see an increase, in the right direction and makeup and recorrection there for this little flat cap that we've seen here and will see here for the next few years.
Here's one thing I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear the owners say, oh, well, attendance was down, so we're going to have to stay at a flat cap for another couple of years, because that's horseshit. I'll be honest with you, that's just bull. Right off the top, that's just bull. You just doubled your TV deal, and you're going to tell me that you're going to cry poverty? No, I'm sorry. I'm not believing that.
They're going to more than double the TV deal. So again, they're going to at least double. In all likelihood, it's going to be more than doubling the TV deal. So that's good news. We didn't really mention it. It's worth mentioning. It's worth bringing up. Islander fans can be happy. Hockey fans can be happy as well. I just hope, the owners make sure the players get what, they rightfully deserve.
That's not going to happen. They screw the players over every chance they get. Every chance. Yeah. And the players cave every time. Every time. Poor leadership. It's not like baseball. Baseball's the Mac Daddy when it comes to getting players the money. Then basketball, football, well, is what it is. And then hockey is just as bad.
Obviously, that's good news. And I want to touch base one more time. Is there anything else, Ranger game-wise, Grump, that you wanted to mention before I let you go off and talk about your issue?
Josh Bailey had 3 assists today.
Yeah.
I consider one of them a primary. The first one to Bavillier was a nice pass that led to the goal. The second one, the puck just bounced off his butt, rolled out to Barzal, who took the puck right from inside his own blue line, skated on a breakaway and scored. So I don't consider that a primary assist right there. Like I said, where's Josh Bailey? I don't know. He's nowhere. There he is right there. I mean, he's 15 foot in his own zone, and he's just trying to clear the zone. And, Mat Barzal takes it and goes. And to me, that's not a primary assist. And then the last one was one of those typical Josh Bailey secondary assists where, the puck just bounced off his skate. Then Nelson fumbled up the puck, lost it. Bavillier takes it, and he scores.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'll tell you this. I am excited. Anytime I see Mat Barzal cash in on a breakaway goal, I'm excited. He has a lot of those breakaway opportunities. Doesn't necessarily always convert. This is a beautiful little deke. I'm glad he put that one into the net. It seems like Mat Barzal is starting to pick up his play a little bit too. Remember, people were trying to trash on Mat Barzal. Hey, the offensive production isn't there. Look how many goals he scored. They were mentioning it there on the Islanders broadcast quite a few times. We're going to jump into that really quickly. Before we do, Grump, I'm going to have to ask you to restrain yourself. Restrain yourself, grumpy old man. I also want to talk about this excellent goal here. And I watched, did you happen to see the celebration by Leo Komarov on this goal, Grump? It's a beautiful goal, first off.
It's the first time he scored in 15 years, isn't it?
It's the first time he scored all season, I can tell you that much. But he did this, he pulls like a hood up from over his head. And I thought, when I took a quick glance, and I'm like, is he pretending like he's putting the phone down on the landline? As I'm like, is he making homage? Is he going ahead and disrespecting the grumpy old man? But no, I think he was just putting his hood up. I don't necessarily get it. I guess maybe he's an assassin. But I'll tell you, he definitely picked the spot there. It's first goal of the season, I think, there for Leo.
Wasn't Assassin's Creed like a really popular video game 20 some odd years ago?
Oh, Assassin's Creed is still a popular video game, and no, it wasn't a popular video game 20 years ago. They didn't even have Xbox 20 years ago, I don't think.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't play any of those video games. I play pinball. That's a game of skill. Not just some pixels. It's nothing. It means nothing.
Oh, goodness.
You got to be able to work those flippers, time them, bounce the ball from one side to the other, hold it, let it roll down, just kick to the other side, snap it up the top. That takes real talent. Not videos. L, A, B, X, Y, Z, W.
I think you would be lost.
The sign for Prince's old name. I don't know.
I think you'd be lost and out of your element if that was the case. Before I let you go loose on this topic, because you called me up when you heard about it and you wanted to talk immediately about it. I want to go ahead and share here. Remember, if you guys do enjoy here the podcast, the live stream, the best way to continue to show support is by subscribing on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. And again, also, if you do like the content, Grumpy Old Man and myself have an additional podcast live stream we're starting where we talk more sports in general. We kicked it off this last Thursday with a 2021 NFL draft breakdown. Holy crap, that was rough, Grump.
Okay, let me just tell you something. I'm
4
going
hours.
to tell everybody, don't watch that because it was 4 hours long, and TJ didn't listen to anything I said. So, he talked all night about offensive tackles. It's like, holy crap. I thought, for me, I'm like, TJ, let's live stream the draft and then we can talk about it over the top. But no, TJ, all he wanted to do was talk about offensive linemen and how this guy does it. I'm like, no one cares about offensive linemen. I mean, but I'll tell you what, I was really good at predicting picks. I will say that. I probably hit on like 70% of the picks in the first round.
Toot your horn a little more. I'll tell you, I know.
But it's unwatchable. You know what? It's unwatchable.
Thank you, Trump. If you don't run me off, I'll get to the point of that. Yeah, it's not going to be the content usually we produce. It's going to be talking more what's going on in the sporting world. We will not be talking more analysis-wise. It was kind of dry. If that's your cup of tea on the NFL draft, we offer that. But again, if you like the content the Grumpy Old Man and I produce here, the same exact funny, the same exact wild content we produce on the Islanders, we are going to be switching gears here as well and starting there a new podcast live stream there where it's more talking sports in general. Grump? Yes.
I just want to say why it was unwatchable is TJ did most of the talking or a lot of the talking, and you could just imagine what that was like.
And it begins. You know what? I'm going to let you segue that into talking about why you are upset and who you're upset with, Grump.
Okay. This little news item came out, was it Thursday? I believe it was Thursday, about Mat Barzal getting fined $2,000 by the NHL for diving.
Under NHL Rule 64 for diving and embellishment.
Why was he getting that call? Does anyone remember early this year, there was a face-off at center ice, and Cindy Crosby was taking the face off, and I don't even know who the other person was. And the other guy's stick came up, missed Crosby by 2 feet. 2 feet, 24 inches. And Crosby, is it here? Is it here? Oh,
this is what he received the diving and embellishment penalty here for. Again, does he grab the stick for certain? What NHL player does not grab the stick when an opposing player lets their stick loosely hit in the stomach of another player? What NHL player does not do that?
Well, I'll tell you what. Putting the stick around the guy's waist is a hook. It is a hook. Mat Barzal does grab the stick off him, but a lot of players do, okay? But then you see what Crosby did earlier this year, where the other guy's stick comes up, misses Crosby by 2 feet, throws himself back, falls in it. Does he get any reprimand or any fine? Absolutely not. What does that do?
Hold on. I want to make an interesting point. Do you want to take a guess how many times Sidney Crosby has been penalized under NHL Rule 64, which is for diving and embellishment? Do you want to take a guess how many times he's been penalized under that rule?
I'm going to bet 0.
Yeah, again, I searched high and low. Unfortunately, there is no database that keeps every single rule infraction on a year-by-year basis. But after scouring year by year, which took about 50, 60 minutes there, almost a better half of an hour, I could not find one single noted fine or a fine there for NHL Rule 64 for diving and embellishment regarding Sidney Crosby. That means even back to when he first started in the league and he was diving all over the place, sticks hitting the ground near him, he's flopping all over the place. Not a single fine or infraction for NHL Rule 64. Again, I searched high and low. Maybe I missed it, but I searched high and low. Sidney Crosby, I could not find one.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he hasn't. Why? Because he's a sacred cow in this league. That's the reason why. He's never going to get those calls against him. I don't care what he does. He's always crying and whining like a little bitch. And so they just give him whatever he wants. I mean, that's just it's always been like that, always. But this year was just so bad. I mean, and even after seeing that, does the league do anything? No, they play the ostrich and just put their heads in the sand. But you know what? This whole thing got the grumpy old man to thinking. I'm like, why is this happening? Why? I ask the questions, and then I'm able to answer them as well. I said, you know something? Why is it that the NHL seems to be singling out Mat Barzal? Could it be, just spitballing here, that because I'm sure the NHL watches all the telecasts and broadcasts of all these games, they keep on hearing Butch, AJ, Brendan, Shannon, Barry, the bootlicking weasels in the media, the Islanders Inquirer, keep on saying how Mat Barzal is so free with his stick. Oh, what a bad penalty. He needs to not do those things. And maybe the league goes, you know something? Hey, why are they saying this about their own player? It must be true. Hey, officials, if their own guys, if their own TV people and their own media cartel keeps on saying that he's doing this, we need to watch him a little bit closer. That's what I think is happening. Do you see the Washington broadcasters saying, oh, that Tom Wilson, boy, that was a cheap shot? Or the Boston, oh, that Brad Marchand, oh my God, he licked that guy. He should be banished.
In Brad Marchand's defense, he's only licked a handful of players, and it seems like his licking days.
You shouldn't be licking anybody. You shouldn't be licking anybody. What the hell is that? You don't lick players.
But his name is Leo Komarov. Then I heard he's got a delectable taste on his face.
Yeah, probably caviar. That's what they eat in Russia.
It's Estonia, Grump.
Whatever. But here's the thing. Marchand's always got that stick up on people. He's always cheap shot on people. You don't hear the Boston people saying that. You don't hear their TV announcers ripping their own guys. And here's the thing. You got Butch. When you see Josh Bailey sticking his stick in between people's skates and tripping them, well, gosh, that's a tough penalty. You know, I don't even know if that should have been a penalty. What the? I mean, he's protecting the lowlifes on the team, and the best guy on the team, we're going to rip all the time. And maybe the league sees that. So maybe the league's going, if their own people are saying this, it must be true. Watch that guy closer. You think that's very possible?
I'm going to tell you one thing. I don't think that's the case. I think he's got a rep for – this is what I think. I think it's easier than you think, Grumpy. And here's my take on it. He jaws often to the referees. He does. And he gets penalties committed on him hand over fist, and very few of them get called. So what does he do? He goes ahead and is mouthy with the refs, which I understand. But I think the refs are in the ears of the NHL. I think you're looking at it the wrong way. I think the referees are in the ears of the NHL saying, yeah, this guy complains all the time about not getting calls, but he's flopping, he's doing this, he's doing that. And it's a consistent, I'm sure it's a consistent comment the refs there make to the NHL. So what do? A little slap on the wrist there for Mat Barzal. How often do you see players fined for diving and embellishment under NHL Rule 64? Now it makes me want to launch an investigation into this as to how many times we've ever seen that fine.
They're thinking about changing it to Rule 13.
Season.
NHL Rule 13. That's what they're thinking about naming it.
Good, Grump.
But here's the thing.
Look, I can't finish my point, grumpy old man. I don't like that. Anyway, moving right along. So
let me finish. I'm not done with this. I let you prattle on ridiculously forever. I make valid points. You want to pick all flowery subjects. I don't put flowery words on it. I just speak the truth right off the top. Okay, that's what I do. I can't listen to you. But, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear it. Get to your point. Nobody wants to hear you say something you can wrap up in 5 seconds and 2.5 minutes. Nobody wants to hear it.
Oh God.
Okay.
Your point.
Okay. They just don't want to hear it. But like I said, you know what? First of all, you said, well, maybe the officials are saying this, and that's why they're holding Mat Barzal accountable. Well, here's the thing. If those striped shirt clowns actually called the game the way it's supposed to be, when he's getting cross-checked from behind and hooked from behind and interfered with all the time like he is, then Mat Barzal wouldn't have to complain because he's the most interfered with player in the league because he doesn't get the calls. So it lets other teams know they can do that to him.
You're not going to see me argue with you. You're right, Grump. They should call the game the way it's supposed to be called. You saw even today in the third period, I think it was Bailey or Brock Nelson or maybe it's Cal Clutterbuck was blatantly tripped. I can't remember who it was. He was skating down in the third period. It was a blatant trip. Rangers defenseman's stick goes right in between the player's legs as he's skating, and he completely falls flat to the ground. The referee's looking right at it. He thinks to himself, the game's 3-0 here. We're about halfway through the third period. I don't want to have to pull the whistle out of my pocket, throw my hand up here and call a penalty. So, the refs are a joke. And I'm going to tell you one thing, and we don't talk too much about the refs, but expect them to have their hands deeper and deeper in their pockets as the playoffs come around. They're going to get ready here. Grump, they have to get ready for playoff style hockey where they can only call very, very few penalties. And it has to be obviously game altering in some cases.
Okay. There's other things that Butch did that drives me insane. You brought up the lollipop goal, which was a nice shot by him. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. And that's what happened with Lollipop when he scored that goal on a nice pass from Everly. Why? Why don't they cover him on that wing? You want to know why? Because they're not afraid of him putting the puck in the net. That's the one time all year. And what's Butch's reaction? Almost like freaking muscle memory, right? Oh, that's why he is so perfect for the first line. The puck wasn't even in the net, and that's what he's spewing. Perfect for the first line. That's why he's so good. I've been saying it all year. Butch, he's not perfect for the first line. He's perfect for the taxi squad or the beer league or the lollipop liquid bread Marchand. He's not perfect for Mat Barzal, but that's what we're going to see.
Do you want to know why he skates down that side of the ice completely uncovered? Because I think Leo was shocked. Leo's mom was shocked. The entire Rangers organization was shocked. The Islanders bench, I'm sure, was shocked that Leo Komarov put that one-timer. That means a perfectly placed puck by him. An outstanding shot. Everybody was shocked. I think Leo had a moment of shock where he's like, holy crap. I haven't scored a goal like that since, back in my days of Estonia. I haven't scored a goal like that since Pee-wees.
I heard that the Red Army was shocked. That's what I heard. They were shocked. Leo doesn't even score that goal in NHL 2021. He just doesn't. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're talking about the video game. Okay.
That's right. If you put that in, Leo never scores a goal.
Oh, goodness. Great.
One goal all year. Oh, everything's great. First line's rolling.
And we're about to open the phone line soon, but we do have one more topic I want to hit on before we do so. Grumpy old man. It's almost like this is going to be a weekly check-in or a bi-podcast check-in. We're playing well against the low cellar dwellers. We're gaining momentum, but it would be nice to see a few members of the Islanders that were recently acquired from the Devils score some goals and, produce offensively here. It would be nice to see Kyle Palmieri. It would be nice to see Travis Zajac put up some points here. I mean, you look at it so far since they've been moved here to the Islanders, 12 games played, 2 points for Kyle Palmieri, 1 goal, 1 assist. Travis Zajac, 10 games played, I believe. Or I'm sorry, 9 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist.
Did Zajac play tonight?
No, he did not.
Okay. Maybe Zajac's done playing. That said, I thought Palmieri looked better today. I will say that. I thought he looked a little bit more comfortable today. I will say that about Kyle Palmieri. Not that I'm sticking up for him because that trade is still like an F minus.
He has looked more comfortable. He has helped, I think, create more offensive chances. He just hasn't started to convert those into points. And I'm going to bring up another point. You're right. Now, Zajac has sat out the last 2 nights in a row. If you think Zajac's done and Leo Komarov's done such a good job on the fit on the first line, why, oh, why did the Islanders trade for a guy that they plan or the guy that's going to be healthy scratched here for the rest of the season? Yikes, what a mismanagement of a trade. Again, Kyle Palmieri, I think he's going to start producing. I really do. He's starting to get a little more comfortable. He's starting to look better out there on the ice. I just can't wait for him to start scoring, and I feel like the floodgates will open. Also, before we open the phone lines, I think we have to give huge credit to Barry Trotz. Barry Trotz now has made the playoffs 3 years in a row with an Islanders team that was hideous. The worst defensive team. He inherited the worst defensive team in the NHL 3 years ago, and he's really done a great job with goaltenders as well as Mitch Corrin there and Pierre Greco. Done a great job with the defense. We've now made the playoffs 3 years in a row. We have to give a round of applause here to Barry Trotz.
God. Okay. He did take a terrible defensive team. You can teach a team to play defense. You cannot teach players to score. Okay? So he's done here's the thing. I'm not minimizing what he's done. Yes, he has taught them how to play defense, but at the expense of us not being able to score against good teams for the most part. And that's what I feel is going to beat us in the playoffs.
But we have won more games, though, in that capacity, too, though. I think it's worth mentioning because, back in the Doug Waite system, hell, we were putting up, goals hand over fist. Mat Barzal was averaging over a point a game. And things looked great and rosy. In the same token, we couldn't defend to save our life there in the second half of the season, and we couldn't win any games. It's better. I'd rather have a team that wins games, even if they're boring. But the thing is, when you're boring and you're losing games, it's a double whammy grump.
Yeah. I'm going to say congratulations to the Islanders for making the playoffs 3 years in a row. That's what I'm going to say. And good for the players.
And
for the whole organization.
Who do you think deserves most credit? If you're going down a list, do you think everybody's on the same page? Do you think there's one party or one person who deserves a little bit more credit than others? Because this is the first time in quite some time, I don't know how many years, that the Islanders have made the playoffs 3 years in a row.
First off, I give it to the players. Players have to, if the players don't execute a game plan, no matter how good the game plan is, it doesn't matter. So that's why I give it to the players. You look at players who subjugated their game, their offensive game, to play the Barry Trotz system. That's who I give first credit for. Second credit I give to Barry Trotz for implementing that system. But the players have to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely, grumpy old man.
And third will be Lou and the ownership group.
We've got a caller coming in, grumpy old man. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. We're trying it a little differently here. Hopefully. Hey, you're on the phone here with TJ and the grumpy old man. How are you doing today? Who we have calling in?
D-Cut, what's cooking, boys?
What's up?
D-Cut, what's up?
Couple of things on my plate, then I'll let you go. I won't be like that Brush character who just goes on and makes no points. First thing, TJ, the Leo move. He was getting the monkey off his back.
Holy shit, pal. That is awesome. Oh my God. That's awesome. Okay. I was wondering, I had to ask Paige too. I'm like, what's going on here? Is he like putting a hood over his head? Is he assassin? What's going on?
No, I even DM'd you to tell you, but you just ignored it. Second thing, probably the biggest mismatch over the last 120 minutes that the Islanders played the Rangers was that bum College Quinn against Trotz. You talk about a mismatch. You're talking about a Hall of Fame coach against a guy who should be coaching Pee Wee hockey. A total mismatch. Trotz put on a clinic. This should really end College Quinn's career. Third point, Lou Lamoriello. I called you up. I told you that trade was a C. All the sheep were telling you A minus, Gross, Staple, kissing Lou's ass. Mantha, killing it in Washington. Carter, killing it in Pittsburgh. Hall, killing it in Buffalo.
Verona.
Palmieri, total bum. I'm going. Have a good one, boys. Catch you next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it here. Grumpy old man. I'll tell you.
I just wanted to say another couple of things that Butch did that drove me crazy because I actually wrote them down in longhand.
Get to it. I want to talk about D-Cut's comments. I really do. Okay. It's funny, right? There's quite a few players that are making huge impacts there for their team. I think Kyle Palmieri is going to. I think he's starting to produce a little bit more offensively. It's just we're ready to see everything start opening up there for him. That is for certain. We're ready to see this start producing points there for him. We're gaining momentum, headed in the right direction. We're not going to be playing the Rangers, the Devils, and the Sabres here come playoff time, though.
Yeah. I mean, it just I tell you, all I can get over was when he said about Leo getting the monkey off his back. I didn't even see the celebration because when I was watching it live and he put the puck in there, I found like 5 minutes later, I found myself on the floor. I think I blacked out.
Did you have your life alert on you? You said, life alert, I've fallen and I can't get up. Leo Komarov scored an absolutely sick goal.
No, I blacked out because I couldn't believe it. I was like, boom, 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 down I went. I mean, so I didn't even see the celebration. I didn't know what it was.
Oh, I love that. I love the fact that it was the monkey off the back, though.
Yeah. All right. I don't know why he had the monkey. I mean, 1 year I think he scored 19 goals in a year, right? Other than that, he's just a ham and egger, just a jag.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what? Hey, that's pretty good though. I gotta say.
Absolutely grumpy old man. We've got another call here coming in. We're going to get to the points. We're going to go ahead and get to the points here. Don't worry, Grumpy. That's all I'm going to say. But hey, I just want to make sure it worked well the first time, right? You didn't hear the incessant ringing. You didn't hear it. I just want to say it worked, right?
Yeah, the first one was okay.
Okay. Well, here we go.
There we go. That's what happens. See, you toot your own horn, and you get shut down. I did want to say one other thing about Leo, though, that the other players were absolutely ecstatic for him. And it does show how much they value him as a teammate, without a doubt. As much as we rip on Leo, and deservedly so, he is beloved by his teammates.
Well, yeah, he's Uncle Leo, Grump.
Yeah. And Butch loves him, obviously. He's better than anybody there is. First line winger.
Oh, goodness gracious. Hey, you're here with TJ and the grumpy old man. Who do we have calling in?
Brian P. What's up, fellas?
What's up, Brian P?
Well, yeah, I have to piggyback off Grump because I almost lost my shit the other day when I had to hear Bushy say, "Oh, he's the greatest." he makes the first line great. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe every Islander group, every Islander site, every Islander thing. One guy after another says, "Suck on Nick, Leo haters." Like he's oh my God, I had to fight with people all day.
It's like
he's not a first line left wing.
No.
Oh my God, he's not a top 6 left wing. He wouldn't be in the top 6 in the KHL, the AHL, the NHL. And I got to hear all the sheep, all the Islander lovers. Oh, look what he does for the first line. He's an anchor to your best offensive player. There's no one to pass to on the left side. None. Zero. Scores 1 goal, and everybody's like, "See?" I couldn't believe it. Oh God, it was rough. Rough to take.
You're right. He's 100% right. I mean, and it's ridiculous. It's the same thing when Bailey has a good game, right? You hear it. Oh, Josh Bailey, elite winger. Please. Those games, it's so few and far between. It's freaking ridiculous.
I will tell you, he's definitely not a first line left winger.
It's insulting.
Yeah, he's not a first line left winger. I will tell you this though, it was a nice goal. It was a beautiful goal. I'll give him credit there for that. I was shocked by it. Right. Now that I know he was getting the monkey off his back, it puts a smile. It puts a smile on my face. I've got no ill will against Leo. He seems like a nice enough guy. But come on, a first line left winger. There was no team out there. You think Tampa would be rolling out Leo Komarov on a first line left wing?
Not even a top 6. Not one team. He's that's not against Leo, but Leo is a fourth liner. He's a grinder. They're telling me, "You don't understand his intangibles and his board play." Okay, well, intangibles and board play kill penalties and play on the fourth line. They don't play with your best player and on the first line. That's what I do know.
And here's the thing that we missed the most. Here's the thing we missed the most, though. Butch. Oh, call me. Oh, call me. First line,
oh my God, he loves him.
Brendan was glad they had that little glass separating the two of them after that call.
Oh, goodness. They had to make sure they had their COVID shield up. Well, thanks there, Brian P. for calling in. I appreciate it as always.
All right.
Thanks for calling in.
Take care, fellas. Shout out Isles Misery.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you, Brian B. Thank you here. Yeah, Grump, I'll tell you, it is.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. That goal was, I don't even think it hit the twine. And he's like, moo! I'm like, boy, you've been waiting. How many years been waiting for that, Butch? Oh, ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely, Grump. I want you to get to your point that you wanted to make about Butch, though, before we jump on. Again, we love Butch. Butch is a nice guy. Islanders a legend, but he does a few things that kind of rub the grumpy old man and others the wrong way.
Right. Just towing that company line, no matter what. There was a power play, and Dobson made a pass, and it was a bad pass. Okay. And Butch just absolutely shreds him. I even wrote it down. He says, that's a 12-foot pass. This is the NHL. You got to be able to complete that pass.
Holy shit.
How many crap passes from number 12 or 29 or 27 or any myriad of the goofs on this team and the Jags that they don't complete? 47, his best first line winger ever. How many of those they make or don't make? Do you hear boo from Butch? Absolutely not.
Okay, that's a good point, right? You don't hear it all that often. He should be able to complete a 12-foot pass, but you never hear Butch or anybody else tear other players. It's only certain players that he has free reign to go ahead and tear. I do agree with that, though, Grump. NHL players and professionals should be able to complete a 12-foot pass, though.
Yeah, okay. It was a bad pass. I think he was expecting what's his name to zig when he zagged, and that's what happened. Okay, it's a bad pass. But then later in the same game, Oliver Wahlstrom scores a goal, which was a beautiful snipe by him. An absolutely fantastic offensive play where he dipped inside, got himself an extra foot, and you couldn't even see that shot. It was so beautiful. And what does Butch say? I wrote it down here. He just said, how Trotz just put him back in the lineup, and it's because he wasn't moving his feet. I'm like, my gosh, did they just punch one of those freaking chips into the back of your head to repeat what Barry Trotz says to the minions in the media? Is that what he does? Because that's what it sounds like to me. He didn't. So he gives him a left-hand compliment for a goal that probably the only guy in the whole team could score. But somehow you didn't play 3 games because, you weren't moving your feet, which is horse crap. Because he was out there moving it. It's because Barry wanted to play Zajac over him. He wanted to find some way to put all the geezers in the lineup at the same time at the expense of the young players.
Oh, goodness gracious, grumpy old man.
One more point.
We've got our caller connected, Grumpy.
Okay.
I'm going to let you save it. I'm going to let you save it. Hey, it's DJ and the grumpy old man here. Who do we have calling in?
Hey, this is Chris. How you guys doing?
Hey, Chris, doing well. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. So I was just wondering, so now that the Islanders are secured in the playoffs, I love the Islanders, but I don't see them as a contender yet. So what do you guys think they need in order to be a proper contender?
They need a true first-line sniper. And maybe that's Oliver Wahlstrom. They need more balance. They need another scorer, an actual offensive talent who can put the puck in the net and create. That's what they need.
That question sounds so professional. I thought it was on a job interview. So, what do I think the Islanders would need to compete? Grump is going to disagree with me. I know he will. But I think to be a real contender, Grump, I want you to hold yourself back. I do. I think if we had Anders Lee, I think we'd be a contender. Hold on, Grump, hear me out. If we didn't have Anders, I really do think Anders Lee was playing really good hockey this season. I think the emergence of Oliver Wahlstrom adds a little bit of pop there. The third line is unbelievable. I think that really does make us a contender. Does it allow us to win a Stanley Cup? Probably not. Does it make us a team that, we expect to make the Eastern Conference Finals again? Absolutely. If you're expecting to make a conference finals, you're expecting, hey, this team's got a chance. I think that makes you a contender. If Lee was healthy, I think, we would be closer to a contender status. I think right now we're more of a pretender than anything else. I think maybe we win one playoff series. That being said, if we had an elite level left winger, I think we would be a contender. I really do believe that.
I think for this team to take the next step, Anders Lee needs to play on the second line, and Oliver Wahlstrom needs to play with Mat Barzal. That could be enough for us.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I don't disagree it there. I think we lost there the last caller. I do apologize if we did get disconnected. But I think
Please call back. Please call back.
I think it's a good point though. I really do, because if we had an elite line left winger, I think we're a contender. I really do honestly believe that. And Anders Lee was playing some of his better hockey we've seen. He was playing much better than he did last season. That was some of the best hockey I've seen out of Anders Lee in quite some time.
Admittedly so, but would you consider him an elite level left wing? I don't. I think I would love to see a line where you have Croc, Average, and the king of the secondary assist on the same line. They work really well together. As much as I don't like, as much as they have derogatory nicknames, they work well together. I feel they work well together. If we get Wahlstrom up there playing left wing, I think, and then get another third line piece who could do something, I think that would make us so much better.
Here's my thing. You talk about if you had, Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, as well as Josh Bailey. You want to talk about the lack of speed on a line. Holy crap. I'm not sure how zone entry is going to look. It looks like dump and chase for that line.
Well, that's okay. But then I can focus all my hate on one line, though.
I know that makes you happy, Grumpy Old Man. I know it does. We've got another caller calling on in, Grumpy Old Man. But I hate that. I hate that I had to run you off a little earlier, making your comments there about Butch Goring.
That's okay. So I got more to go.
Yeah. Hey, you're live here with TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Who do we have calling in?
Hey, it's Bill. How's it going?
Hey, Phil. How are you?
I am good. Happy about the clinch.
Yeah.
I guess I'll first make a comment about the point that you and Grumpy are on right now, which is line construction for if Lee were available. I think we're overthinking it a bit over here. I think Wahlstrom next year should be on the first line. He clearly has the best NHL shot on this team, but it shouldn't be for Lee. It should be for Eberle. I thought Eberle and Nelson played really well earlier in the season when Barry juggled the lines a bit. And I think a line of Wahlstrom, Barzal, and Lee is what makes the most sense. And then moving Eberle down with Nelson and Bailey, or Nelson and Bouvillier, whoever you have there, would be your second line. But I agree with you, TJ. I think if they did have Lee, and statistically speaking, Lee was on pace for the best season of his career. Points-wise, I think he would have been about 3 or 4 off the mark from a goal-scoring standpoint from the 40 he had. But points-wise, he was definitely on pace for the best season of his career. He was skating better, much improved from last year. So while I don't think they're currently a contender, I think if Lee was in the mix, it would certainly get them a lot farther. The other quick point I wanted to make also was, revisiting the trade deadline now that everyone has, a decent sample size to see what's gone on. It drives me crazy that people bring up the Mantha thing without any context to the fact that Verona is playing much better than even Mantha is right now. And then on top of giving away Verona, they gave away a first and a second. But besides that point, this is something I tweeted out the other day, which was Kyle Palmieri is second on the Islanders since joining the team in high danger scoring chances, individual high danger scoring chances. So it's not to say that he's going to start scoring anytime soon, but he is a person who's got a history of goal scoring. Maybe getting his beard back is all he needs. And the way this trade is ultimately going to be judged is based on what Kyle Palmieri brings to the table in the postseason. If he doesn't score any goals from between now and the end of the regular season and lights it up the way Pajot did last year, I think we'll all be feeling pretty good about it. And Zajac, I'm not sure if you saw Barry's comments, but it doesn't sound like Zajac's coming back in. I think Staple had asked him, I think it was either Staple or Gross who asked him about him struggling to get him into the lineup, and Barry pretty much admitted he had no place for them. And that to me is a failure on Lou's part not to get the right piece for Barzal's line. I'll hang up and listen, but have a great night, guys.
Thank you. I do appreciate the call in here, Phil. Definitely for certain.
How's that phone call thing working for you, TJ?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Grumpy Old Man. We got it. It was just right in between there. I'll tell you this. I think he brings up a good point. I know everybody likes to bring up the Mantha trade in Verona. I think it's worked out well for both teams. Verona has tore it up, and so has Mantha. I mean, I think both teams actually were able to address the needs that they had. I still think long term that it more favors the Red Wings than it does the Capitals. But for short term, Capitals have a finite window just like the Islanders. I mean, Alexander Ovechkin, Nicholas Backstrom, they're not getting any younger, and neither is John Carlson. So I mean, the Capitals are in a situation where they're almost in win now mode as well.
Yeah, they're a winner. And I'll tell you what, I love Phil as a caller because he makes salient points. Whenever he agrees with TJ, that's usually a mistake.
That puts a big smile on my face.
He's right about Verana, but Verana wasn't doing anything in Washington. And I guess that's why it's the addition of Mantha and how he signed for another 2 years. That's why I think the benefit is. And he brings a much more of a physical presence as well as his scoring ability. So I think that's a deal that worked out for them. A first-round pick, people, we don't care about the Islanders giving up first-round picks. Well, Washington's pick is even worse than ours. They're certainly in win-now mode. Also, I feel our goaltending is better than them, but I think overall they have a better team than we do right now. And Phil made a couple other really good points, but I can't remember them all. Like I said, I have one of those senior moments. If he talks too long, I kind of forget. I do remember he agreed with TJ, which is a mistake.
No.
I'm not going to hold that against.
He was talking about Kyle Palmieri, how he has been creating their dangerous scoring chances, and he says just like this, right? And I was thinking about this as well. That's why it's going to have to be something we revisit on, a weekly basis, because, if Kyle Palmieri picks it up come playoff time, I don't care what he did in the regular season. If he's able to light up the score sheet in the playoff time and help push us there forward, and he's one of the impetus to, us making a big push there for a Stanley Cup. I mean, no matter what happens, the trade worked out. It doesn't matter if he scores, 0 and, he's like minus 57 in the regular season. I don't care. If he comes in and he produces in the playoffs, that's all that really matters. I think he's going to start producing on the score sheet. He has been creating those chances. He's looking more comfortable out there on the ice, but it's one of those things where something we got to closely monitor. And again, it's something we're always going to mention, but playoffs, hopefully Kyle Palmieri really turns it on. That was
the other point. And Phil was spot on with that, without a doubt. And I would be disingenuous if I said that's not the case also, because I'm all about the playoffs and winning Stanley Cups. So good point again, Phil. But one thing he brought up, and here's, maybe a little scenario, maybe something we have to worry about, and I'm going to blame Lou for this. If it's truly like Samson without his hair and his inability to score when he got the beard shaved off, well, Lou should have known that before he traded for him.
Oh, that's good. You know what? Lou Lamoriello, let him bring back his beard. It will bring back the scoring touch to Kyle Palmieri. I'm making a plea to Lou Lamoriello. Kyle Palmieri needs his beard just like the Islanders need Mat Barzal. It's that important there to Kyle Palmieri's success. But we do have another caller, Grumpy Old Man. I'm bringing them in now. Hey, you got to forgive me here, Grump.
You don't worry. You don't have to forgive. I don't have to forgive you. It's the caller that you hung up on that has to be forgiven.
No. I haven't hung up on the caller here, Grumpy Old Man. Hey, you're live here with TJ and the Grumpy Old Man on the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. Who do you have calling in?
Hey, it's Paul from Texas.
Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm doing good. So, me and my dad are listening to y'all, and we have had this theory about why stone hands, lollipop, waste of human life, Leo Komarov is on the first line, why Palmieri's not on the first line, and why Wallstrom is not on the first line.
I want to hear it.
Because of Mat Barzal's face-off skills. He has not fully developed the ability to consistently win face-offs like I think Barry Trotz wants him to be at this point in his career. So the reason why he has Komarov on, because he has some left, especially on the left dot or his strong side, face-off ability. And he does not trust Matt to do all the face-offs, even on his especially on his weak side. He doesn't trust Wallstrom because he's still too young, and I don't think he's played center for a very long time. Palmieri's a winger, and he does not have any face-off skills. That's why I think they had Zajac on the first line as well, because his face-off skills have improved. I think since they brought in Pajot, Matt's face-offs have improved in general, but I still think Barry still does not trust him with face-off building. I think he values that, especially with the style we play with counterattack and we already having low possession numbers. he really wants Barzal's face-off abilities to be much stronger, to trust him to put that skill forward on his left wing. And I hate that reasoning. That is a stupid-ass reasoning to do that. I still would rather have a more skilled forward on that wing and not be winning as many face-offs as Barry wants to have that. But I see the logic in that, but it frustrates the heck out of me. But that is why I think Palmieri is still not on the first line, and they have not put Wallstrom on the first line.
Yeah.
It's because he does not trust their face-off skills, and he really, because he already knows we're not going to possess the puck for the majority of the game, and we need to win face-offs to even have a chance to have any possession at all.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I think you're right, and we've talked about that too in the past. Mat Barzal's inability to win face-offs really hurts. It really does hurt the Islanders, and it really hurts him and his ability to have a left winger on his line that can effectively score. So he had put, Travis Zajac as well as Leo Komarov out there because both of those guys do have a little bit more success there in the dot. And he does like, when players can go ahead and score and execute. Grump, I'll let you take a stab at that too.
Okay. Get close. I want everyone to listen.
Holy Grump, this is the first time I've seen your microphone on camera ever.
That's right. I want to make sure that everyone's listening. And first of all, I love Texas, okay? But here's the thing. Barry Trotz wants to punish Mat Barzal. He doesn't want him to create offensively. So he's hamstringing him with the guy from Russia.
From Estonia, come on.
He doesn't. He wants who can hamper his offensive abilities? Who can stop him from being entertaining? Who can stop him from being the best guy in the Islanders? Leo Komarov. That's who.
Oh goodness, grumpy old man.
Yeah, and what kind of also upsets me is that if he's so worried about his face ability, have him with just give him a week with Pajot. Have a Pajot teach him things. They're both the same strong hand. Have him do a little mini camp with just the two of them just practicing face-off for a week, and they do nothing else. Practice face-off. If he's so flipping worried about him being on the dot, they have to have Leo on the dot. Just lock him in an ice rink with Pajot, and they don't get out until he can win face-off against him.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Grumpy old man. I'll tell you, it's we talked about it funny, last year during the playoffs, and we said the Islanders are doing terrible in the dot. Mat Barzal cannot win a faceoff to save his life.
Terrible
face-off minicamp. I literally verbatim told you that before in jest. I'm like, send his ass to face-off minicamp. That's where all he's doing here during this time period during COVID, winning face-offs. I said it there as a joke, but he does need to do a better job on the dot.
Okay, let's send Mat Barzal to face-off camp all year. They have those specialized camps. Let's sell Ryan Pulak to hit the net camp. Let's try that. just saying.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Yeah, let's send Ryan Pulak to hit the net camp. Holy crap. Oh my goodness.
And here's a nice segue to the same game where Butch is ripping. He's ripping Dobson. He's ripping Wallstrom. Ripping Barzal, of course, because we knew that was coming later in the game, right? Ryan Pulak has the puck and get just stripped in his own zone. That leads to a wide open chance. And does he say anything about it? Like, boy, got undressed, or you can't do that.
Who's soft on the puck? And I mean, Varlamov came up huge with that save. But yeah, no comment like he's too soft on the puck. Needs to do a better job. He's a veteran defenseman. He can't go ahead and get stripped of the puck that easily in front of his own net and give up a prime opportunity to score. No, quiet as a church mouse, of course.
He went, I'm not going to say anything about the guys that we're supposed to like on this team, which led us to our fourth line. Our fourth line, who had okay game. More excuses for Butch for the fourth line's poor play last week. He had to go back to that when they were -3 and just got embarrassed by Washington's fourth line. Dominated anytime they were out there. Well, sometimes you're going to have a bad game.
They don't just play the fourth line there for Washington. So, I mean, they match up against other lines. I'll tell you one thing, as fair and honest as we are here on this show, We were talking last episode about how Kyle Clutterbuck was cashed out, had a few good chances, rung a few there off the crossbar, off the post here as of recent. So again, not saying, oh, he's having a resurgence or anything like that, but, to kind of go ahead and give him kudos where kudos are due.
Yeah. Then we get back. Since we don't have any calls right now, and you haven't gotten into the comments yet, which I'm sure
you make the last point. And again, if people want to call them, we'll continue doing that. But then we're going to dive into some comments. But go ahead and Grump. Okay. I want to hear your last point about what upset you about Butch this week.
And this ties in with my first point with the imbeciles in the Islanders announce team, the media, the bootlicking weasels, the Inquirer. Mat Barzal takes a penalty with 6 minutes to go in the game, where a 2-minute penalty for a cross-checking on Smith and I'm going to tell you what that was. I wrote it down here. What a soft hit on Smith, who just flopped into the boards. And there's Butch goes off on his diatribe once again. Well, you see the numbers like that, you can't hit the guy. They hit from behind all freaking game long, every team.
I've got a point. I want to interrupt you for a second. Do you remember last week, 2 weeks ago, where Scott Mayfield, 2 hands, I think it was a Washington Capital, from behind, right in the back, the numbers are facing him. Oh, that's just a normal hockey play. Again, I don't think it should have been a penalty on Scott Mayfield. But, he comes to the defense. We've talked about it before. But, yeah, it all depends on who the character is out there on the ice. We all know that because, if Josh Bailey would never make a penalty like that. I don't think he'd ever take a cross-checking penalty. But let's say it's Anders Lee when Anders Lee's healthy. If Anders Lee takes a penalty like that, like a cross-checking there from behind, or Scott Mayfield does, you're not going to see them bat an eye or complain at all. We'll just say, after he watches the replay, he can say, oh, well, after an initial reaction of, how the heck could he call that a penalty there on Scott Mayfield? Butch always does this famous turnaround where he's like, well, I can kind of see, this call now, so not a bad call by the ref. Scott Mayfield's got to do a little better than that, but it's, it all around an okay play.
Yeah.
Butch always waffles.
And here's the thing. Barzal barely touched him. And then later in the same period, Bailey, a guy skating in, Bailey slew foots him. He goes crazy into the backboards. Everybody jumps on Bailey, and he's like, well, I don't know. I don't know what Josh could have done there. And then Butch's comedy routine comes in when he says that Josh Bailey's willing to fight. Oh, come on. You got to be freaking kidding me. What a laugh. What a joke. Bailey in a fight? He doesn't even fight his kids for the last Lego My Eggo waffle at mornings.
Dude, I could go for some freaking waffles right now, Grump. Thanks for making me hungry. I love some waffles and some syrup. There's nothing better than getting a pack of 12 waffles and eating about 8 or 10 waffles there with some butter and some syrup on it. I'm pretty sure it's like consuming 3,000 calories, but man, oh man, is that delicious. I'll tell you, I can eat about 8 or 10 waffles right about now. Ooh, with some butter and some cereal, or some syrup. Ooh, Grump, you've made me hungry.
Yeah. Butch Dangerfield. Hey, yeah, Josh Bailey, he's ready to fight. Who is he ready to fight? I mean, it's just never going to happen. Come on.
It's like saying Brock Nelson's a fighter. How many career fights does Brock Nelson have in the NHL? 1 or 2? Funny enough, against Andy Green. I know the first one was against Andy Green. It's just 1. I was about to say, he's not a fighter. Neither is Josh. I'm sure Josh Bailey will fight if need be, but those guys aren't fighters. We don't really have any fighters on this team. Maybe you can call Ross Johnson, Matt Martin fighters, but we really don't have fighters on this team.
You know what? When the Carolina Panthers send their players onto the field, you hear, like a panther. Whenever they send Josh Bailey and Brock Nelson out there, it's like, that's what it's like. It's like the old Mary Tyler Moore production.
Oh, my God. Grumpy.
They're tough.
Well, we're going to start jumping, reading here some comments too, because I do know people enjoy that. The phone lines are still open. We're going to start getting here. Rody the Riff, a YouTube comment said, we did it with a whole bunch of celebration there. We made the playoffs your 3rd year in a row. And I don't want to seem like we're downplaying that because that is huge for our organization. It has been a resurgence of the Islanders. Lou Lamoriello and Barry Trotz has brought legitimacy back to this franchise that was a cellar dweller for many, many years. So we have to give them credit where credit is due. So again,
Absolutely.
big round of applause there to Lou Lamoriello. As much as we could question the trades, question the pieces you put around him. I think an even bigger round of applause though to Barry Trotz. The only reason I give big round of applause to Lou Lamoriello, brings over Sorokin. Also, he brought Barry Trotz to the table. So
that was his best move, was bringing Barry Trotz. We've said it before 100 times.
Yeah, absolutely. Big claps there. Yep. I'll give that to you, Grumpy old man. Brian J says, who do you guys want to play in the first round of the playoffs? Grump, I seem like this changes. Your answer changes on a weekly basis. So we're going to go ahead and get the who would Grump like to play the first round of the playoffs analysis, week 57. Grump.
The Rangers. I want to play the Rangers. We own them.
All we need is the Rangers to win out every single game the remainder of the season, and the Boston Bruins to absolutely collapse and not get a single point the rest of the year. I think it's maybe possible if we go ahead and cross our fingers and put a spoon under our bed or spoon under our pillow, whatever type of what do they call those? Whatever type of rituals people have. I wouldn't mind to play the Rangers in the first round, but not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, all kidding aside, I don't think it matters who we play. I mean, if we play our game, we can beat anybody. If we're off our game at all, we could lose to everybody. I mean, honestly, these other teams are really hot, playing really well right now. You got to look at the two teams we're going to play is either Philadelphia or Washington. They're both playing extremely well. And I think Laviolette's an excellent coach, and so is Mike Sullivan. Matter of fact, all the coaches in the East in the playoffs are fantastic coaches, every single one, ours included.
You wonder, you look back on certain time periods, they'll do specials on it. They'll talk about how certain divisions were absolutely stacked. And, it was one coaching battle and one coaching duel against another. Hall of Fame coaches facing off on a consistent basis. You wonder if a year like this, and if the coaches stay here relatively the same here in this Eastern Division, you wonder if they're going to look back on this time period and say, look at the battles that the Penguins, the Capitals, and the Islanders had, and look at these coaching duels for this time period. You wonder if they might go ahead, if looking back on history, there might be a time period where we think about something like that.
No, people don't care enough about hockey in the mainstream media to ever say something like that.
For hockey fans, you wonder if they're ever going to do a special like that on NHL Network. Let me go ahead and rephrase it. It's not popping up on ESPN anytime soon as a 60 for 60.
No, because they're not Canadian teams. If they were all Canadian teams, yes, they would say it.
Oh, goodness. Matthew S. says, what's up, boys? What's up there, Matt? Brian J. also says, brought to you by Rogaine. Absolutely. If Rogaine wants to sponsor us, I will sponsor that. We'll make sure we take that. Frank K. says, playoffs. That's right. By Rangers. Beauvillier is heating up. I'll tell you, it is important. It's important. Just like D-Cut also said there earlier on, College Quinn got outclassed by the defensive genius and Barry Trotz. For certain he did tonight.
I'm going to disagree with D-Cut a little bit. I think that he could probably coach a midget team.
Oh, goodness gracious here. Matthew S. there says, Mets beat Philly as well today. So good all-around day there for New York fans. That is for certain. I also asked this, Grump. We had mentioned it last time with Kim on the podcast, Al's Girl 3. But, we had made a friendly wager, and we need the people who listen to the podcast and live stream to weigh in. If the Islanders win the first round of the playoffs, the grumpy old man has to do something you think he wouldn't want to do on the podcast. And if they lose in the first round of the playoffs, I will do something you think I don't want to do here on the podcast. We are looking for suggestions from the listeners of this podcast, anything to keep it fun and entertaining for you guys, we want to do. So again, if you want to pour in with comments, if you need to mull this over, you need to sleep on it. How can we really get at the grumpy old man? What would get under his skin? Wearing a Josh Bailey shirt and posting a huge picture next to him. I don't know, grumpy old man. We'll let the creative minds out there who listen to the podcast and live stream think of something they're going to enjoy.
That's fine. Next comment.
All I'm going to say is, our friend there, Brett, Let's Go Islanders. He's got a Josh Bailey jersey coming to you, grumpy old man.
Wasn't Dwayne Sutter number 12 too?
You're going to the way back machine here for me now, grumpy old man. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to.
I don't dislike the number 12. Tom Brady wears number 12. It's a little nameplate atop. Now,
Jay Rich said, I want an apology from you guys saying negative things about Barry Trotz. Here's the thing. we're going to always say negative things about Barry Trotz. Anybody else we see we're huge fans of Barry Trotz. He does certain things that piss us off, though. Certain things where I'm like, if he did this differently, it would work out much better. And here it is, right? Barry Trotz rolls Oliver Wahlstrom back in the lineup, Noah Dobson back in the lineup. We're playing the Rangers, albeit we're playing the Rangers, but we win in very convincing fashion. Over a 2-game spread, we completely shut out the Rangers over that time period, win 3-0 and then 4-0. Barry Trotz rolls out the best lineup he could possibly have out there on the ice. You're not going to see many complaints from me. You're not. We still might have issues. I said it's like we're cutting hairs. First line left wing there, Leo Komarov, Zajac, whatever. Seems like we're splitting hairs at this point. But I think this is about the best lineup that Barry Trotz could roll out there, and I'm glad he's finally come to the conclusion that this is the best lineup he can roll out there. You're not going to see me talk too ill will of that.
I want an apology for Barry Trotz for putting Travis Zajac on a line instead of Oliver Wahlstrom. He'll get an apology from me when he apologized to me for that shameless roster decision or benching Noah Dobson for Coburn. He owes me a personal apology for making those hideous lineup decisions that cost the Islanders games.
Does he need to go ahead and send you a personalized letter in the mail? Is that what needs to happen, Grump?
Say, Grumpy, I'm sorry for my ignoramus moves for the lineup. I realize now that you are all-knowing and all-intelligent that I should have listened to you from the beginning and not tried to play all the geezers at the expense of the young players.
Oh,
I apologize, grumpy old man.
I do also want to go ahead and give a little shout out. It's it's Brett for Let's Go Islanders there from Net Threads, Grump. So you're gonna be getting a Josh Bailey shirt in the mail. So you could definitely go ahead and throw that on. I know you said if you ever received a Josh Bailey shirt, you'd wear it and you wear it with pride. Anything somebody sends you'd wear with pride. He's going to be sending you there a Josh Bailey. It's Net Threads with a Z. I like their products. This is not like an advertisement or anything like that. I just want to say, he's sending us something there for Grump. I'm looking forward there to it. I got a chance to look at the store and everything like that. He's got some good products there on it, Grumpy Old Man. But
you'll have to let me know, because now that I know I'm getting stuff free from there, I'll make sure I place a big order. It's not going to come, cash on delivery, is it? I hope not.
What it's going to have to do is, when you receive it, then you're going to have to go ahead and make a huge payment on it, Grump. Is what's going to happen. Okay. I told him, I said, actually, you need to go ahead and charge Grumpy 3 or 4 times what you would usually charge somebody who orders a shirt like that.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
It can be whatever I want to pay for it, because then I could go like this. I could go like, hey, I'd be like Sonny Corleone. When he breaks the guy's camera, he just throws money on the floor. Yeah, here you go. Because that means nothing to me, your little camera.
Oh, goodness, Grumpy. A nice Godfather reference. I absolutely love it. That's,
greatest movie of all time.
If I had the time, I'd sit down and watch it this weekend, because anytime the Godfather's on, if I can go ahead and devote some time to it, I absolutely would, Grumpy Old Man. That being said, here we do have a caller coming in, Grumpy Old Man. Wasn't sure if that was going to be the last of the calls here for tonight, but we do have an additional call coming in here, Grumpy Old Man. So give us 1 second as we get it all patched in. Hey, you're live here with TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Who do we have calling in?
Hey, how you doing? It's Jerry Springer.
Hey, Jerry, how are you?
I'm good. So I got an idea for the Grump for if you guys, if we get past the first round.
Okay. What's your idea there, Jerry?
All right. So I want to see Grumpy Old Man with like body paint, orange and blue body paint, with a number 12 painted on his back, shirtless, with Bailey written on top. And he's got to stand up and spin around in circles and dance and sing the Josh Bailey song repeatedly for at least 1 minute and 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, if we get past the first round.
Holy crap. Grumpy, you talk about Jerry's come here and said, maybe for like a Stanley Cup victory, I could see that. Jerry said, we're starting to bar off high. I love it, Jerry.
Let's set that bar as high as possible there, right?
Oh,
I didn't realize it had to do a stage show too. That's all I'm going to say to that.
Grumpy, you've got the charisma on the show. You're the character on the show, Grumpy Old Man. You should like dancing. I'm not opposed to doing something like that, Grumpy. I don't know what mine should be, Jerry. Do you have any suggestions if the Islanders get booted in the first round of the playoffs there for me, what I would have to do?
Oh, man.
That's no fun.
maybe like same sort of deal, but like like average Anders in body paint and just go on about how much of a better Patrick Kane is how much better of a player Patrick Kane is than Anders Lee or something like that.
Oh, I that won't hurt me too much. I'll have no problem there doing it. And I appreciate the call in here, Jerry. Do you have any Islanders related stuff here? I appreciate you giving us the idea. Now you got me thinking, what are we going to make the grumpy old man do? I'm not opposed to an idea
I'm not afraid at all because it's not happening.
Your confidence blinds you, grumpy old man. Anything else, Jerry, you have there for us?
Not time. Just read my comments, man. I got good comments going.
We'll get to the comments for certain there, Jerry. Oh, by the way, I do want to give Jerry credit. Jerry had come up there with quite a few. He wants credit there. He came up with the first balding joke and the first joke of the Rogaine. So we have to give Jerry his rightful credit as well, just like we do everybody who does go ahead and deserve that. So we do appreciate that, Jerry, certainly from you. Gotcha. Well,
all right. I love you guys. Just read my comments and let's get grumpy old man dancing with some body paint and singing and all that.
Hey, Josh Bailey, you suck.
Oh.
More than anybody I know.
Oh.
I can never score a goal.
Oh goodness. Well, thanks, Jerry.
Maybe I'll sing that. After a Josh Bailey no-show in the playoffs.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, thank you there, Jerry. I appreciate the call in. Grumpy old man, look at you. I will tell you that. That's not a bad idea at all. I'll tell you that much. I want to get back to the comments there. Deidre C there says, if the Islanders play the Capitals, they really have to excel even more.
100% right. And to be one of the teams we're going to play in the playoffs, we're going to have to be better offensively. I mean, defensively, I think we're kind of dialed in right now for the most part, but we're just really, really struggling offensively against good teams. We just are.
I told you this before. Momentum and confidence is a very, very funny and fickle thing in professional sports.
I'm still got to score goals.
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm getting comments here. I'll close out of that tab. I apologize here, Grump. Brian J. also says Josh Bailey is heating up.
Yeah, he got a couple of secondary assists and a primary today.
Look at that. He's heating up, Grump. He's not an elite winger, but he's heating up. Hey, any type of production we can get there from Josh Bailey is always an added.
There is no production from him. Those goals are Bavillier goals. That was a Mat Barzal goal. That had nothing to do with the first play was a nice pass from Josh Bailey. The other two he had nothing to do with. Absolutely nothing.
Brett, let's go Islanders. That's who's going to be sending you there the shirt there. He said, "Hey guys, Grumpy Old Man, your favorite player's shirt is on its way." Yeah, that's right, Josh Bailey. I'll be interested, Grump.
I will wear it the next whenever it comes in. I will wear it on the podcast.
Grump will wear that shirt more often than you fans and listeners believe. I think Grumpy would wear that shirt. Hell, he still breaks out his New York Giants shirts that look like they're about 15, 20 years old. You saw the Islanders hat he was sporting on last week's podcast too. You could tell it was originally supposed to be a bright white, a very, very fluorescent white, and it's got that yellow tint to it. Grump, it's an old product there, so there's no doubt in my mind Grumpy Old Man would wear anything you sent him here.
Okay, I still have 2 Giants shirts, like the commemorative T-shirts when you win a championship. It's not like now, where a team wins a Super Bowl, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they have like 400 shirts, all different styles. It was like one shirt, and I have one for the 1990 and the 1986 championship seasons. Honestly, I haven't worn them in a while, and think about it, that's like 35 years ago. I don't really know if they fit. But I might try one on one time, depending on, how I'm looking. I don't know.
Oh, goodness, Grumpy Old Man. Jerry Springer says, "Hey, boys, love you and miss you." I appreciate that, Jerry. I'm happy you are out of Facebook jail. Jennifer B there says, "Islanders are going to the playoffs." Excited, of course. Deidre C also saying, "Love my Owls talk. Love my Islanders." Jay Rich also commenting again, "Instead of bashing Trotz for 2 hours like last Saturday, you should talk about how great he is for 2 hours." Yeah, again, Barry Trotz, when he rolls out He's rolling out the right lineups. You're not going to see any complaints from me. This is the best lineup we're going to see out there for the Islanders, minus maybe a Leo and switching up the first line left wing. Everything else I'm happy with on the forward group. I'm happy with the defense pairing, and I'm happy with the goaltenders. You're going to find it very, very tough to see me complain when we're doing that. If, tomorrow, or it's not going to be tomorrow, but if Monday we go ahead and sit out Oliver Wahlstrom, Noah Dobson, I'm going to be a little upset. That's just how it works.
I think Jay is related to Barry in some way, shape, or form. His never-ending love for him has no bounds.
I'll tell you one thing.
I just noticed the comments over the last few weeks. Just all pro Barry. Doesn't matter what he does.
Okay. Barry is excellent. He's excellent.
He is, but he's not infallible. That's all.
There it is. Yep, that's exactly the thought that we have there. Mark A there says victory. Definitely, I'll tell you. Okay, here we go. Jerry Springer says, question for TJ and Grumpy. Jerry always brings the craziest questions. I'm happy Jerry's out of Facebook jail because the questions are completely out of the box. They're crazy. Jerry, love to see you if you went ahead and followed there. TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, where we talk more just sports in general. I can only imagine the questions we'd face there too. He says, question for TJ and Grumpy, is anyone else listening to the podcast on a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you guys think Zdeno Chara looks like a praying mantis? Grump, I'm going to let you take that one first.
Okay. I don't like to criticize Jerry, but that little picture looks like a grasshopper as opposed to a praying mantis. And I don't know if he looks like.
It's not a picture. It's an emoji.
Whatever it is. It looks like a little picture to me. Is that not a picture of a cricket?
It's an emoji. It's an emoticon. So it's an emoji for everybody who's listening to the podcast who don't actually watch the the YouTube or the live stream or anything like that. It's an emoji. But again, we'll call it picture for your sake, Grumpy. Yes, the picture looks like a grasshopper. It's a grasshopper, cricket, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, but it's not a praying mantis.
It's an insect.
I don't think he almost looks like a ghoul. I don't know if he looks like like a ghoul, like something like maybe a praying mantis. I don't know. I guess.
Here you go, Grump. What do you think of that picture right there?
I'd be scared to shit if he's throwing fists at me. He's 6'10". And guess what? Who's a little shrinking Violet getting beat up with it? Oh, that's right, the $6 million man. You know what after he knocked it down, he says, "Hey, you want change for that $6 million?" That's probably what he said.
What it was funny too when he posted this. He's like, the Islanders with 16 regulation goals in the last 11 games, obviously before they played the Rangers, and me trying to enjoy the season, just absolutely no match. Just like Matt Martin was no match there for Zdeno Chara.
No match.
Does he look like a praying mantis? Yeah.
Okay, let me just say one thing. He got beat up. The $6 million man got beat up by a 43-year-old guy.
I've always said this, and maybe I naively said it, but I thought to myself, you know what? If Ross would ever face off there against Zdeno Chara, maybe it'd be a legitimate fight, because Ross, again, he's younger, he's taller. I mean, than most NHLers out there, 6'4", 6'5". Even though he doesn't have the reach on Zdeno Chara, he's got much. The age is much more in his favor than it is Chara. But I'm just not sure. I just think Chara's so large, he's able to long arm everybody, keep him there at bay. Just go ahead and pummel him. So, even though Zdeno Chara's 43 years old, I'm not sure I ever bet against Zdeno Chara in a fight.
Yeah, he's a pretty good fighter. He doesn't fight a whole lot anymore. I was joking about 43-year-olds because some of the greatest athletes in the world, like the greatest quarterback who ever lived, is 43 also. He just won Super Bowl.
There it is. There's the Tom Brady reference there for the day. Oh my God.
Woo! I got Casper, the Three Amigos, and Tom Brady in today. Woo!
Jay Rich, one more here. He says, hold on, I'm grumpy. No, again, it is true. It is true. We've talked about it. And again, it'd be disingenuous to say that we don't point out these facts to Barry. We just don't speak about them all the time, because they certainly are true, Jay. This is definitely a true point here. Ever since Trotz started coaching the Islanders, they gave up the least goals in that span. And if that's not consistency and great coaching, I don't know. People need to wake up. Again, for certain, he has brought more stability. He's brought defensive structure, and he's done a great job with the Islanders. Yes. We don't try to downplay that at all. It just drives me insane a little bit where I see a tweak here or there. And I'm talking about a small tweak that can really make a huge positive difference. That is what drives me insane, because we're in the right direction. We're in the right stratosphere, but a little tweak here and there can really add us in the right direction. Again, we're not in the same exact zone, in the same exact stratus, or the same exact, what do they call those, Grump? stratosphere.
I don't know. When you start trying to get too verbose and you just lose me. Just lose me.
You know, I did not study enough of my elementary school sciences. I can't remember the exact the levels of like to where we get to outer space. Oh wow, this is going to sound really bad. But to where we get out of space, but we're not in the same zone there as you know the Tampa Bay Lightning. But you know, hey, you know, Barry definitely has brought us into the right area.
You should have studied time too, to know when your time is up to stop talking and let me talk. Okay.
I want to let you read here, D-Cuts.
Here's what I wanted to say about the last point. And that what I brought up earlier, who's more important, the coach or the players? When the players don't execute Barry's game plan, we get rolled. Okay? That's why it's the players first. If they don't play his game to the T, since we're not super talented, we get beat. Okay? His style is conducive to winning games, but he doesn't win a whole lot of cups because at the end of the day, all the good teams are coached that well also. And if you have more talent, the talent is going to win out. That's not to minimize Barry as a coach. Okay, not at all. That's all I want to say about that. Okay, what's the next comment?
Rump, we got a comment for D-Cut. I want you to read it here.
3 assists by that number 12. And 2 of them were primary assists. Yeah, okay. 1 was a primary assist. Absolutely give him credit for the first primary assist, and then a nice shot by Bavillier. The second one, absolutely not. That was a Mat Barzal all by himself. That's Mat Barzal all by himself, picking up the zone, the puck at the blue line, outskating people. Deacon, it had nothing to do with the pass from Josh Bailey. Nothing.
Here's my question for you, Grump. Does that in the score sheet, you know, in the stat book, does that count as a primary assist?
That's a typical Josh Bailey primary assist. One where somebody does something individually all on their own to score a goal. And the third one was just, you know, hey, I'm the human sidecar. The puck bounced off my butt when I was looking in the stands. And then Kroc took the puck. He fumble dumped it. Bavillier picks it up and shoots and scores.
Is it funny anytime you say, you know, the puck hits off your butt and goes in that? All I can think about is The Goon. I don't know if you've ever watched that movie. I love The Goon. That's all I can think about is it hitting off him, how he scores his first professional goal in The Goon.
That's like Josh Bailey, just lucky to get any points.
Oh, goodness gracious there.
On the positive side, he's two assists behind Nick Leddy for team lead in assists this year.
Josh Bailey, correct?
Yep.
Good. You know, Grumpy, I'm glad you're giving him some props where he deserves them.
I always speak the truth. Good and bad.
Michael D says, I should be upset about wearing that green shirt, Grumpy.
Why, is green a bad color?
I don't know. I've never seen you wear this shirt. This is a very different shirt. Grumpy, you've never worn that shirt once on our podcast live stream.
No, that's true.
So maybe you're going deep back into the wardrobe, or maybe just dressed up for everybody there at the Islanders meetup. You didn't wear any Islanders gear to the Islanders meetup?
I wasn't going to wear a 30-year-old Islander shirt. I wasn't going to do that. It was warm out. I don't have any T-shirts. I don't have anything. My children always got everything. I got nothing. I made sure that I supplied my children with things, not myself.
Oh, selfless, grumpy old man.
Thank you. That's right.
You've got that coming in from Brett there at Net Threads there. So you'll have some Islanders gear that's not 30 years old. So now you can wear that to all of the meetups. So everybody that they see you, they're going to think you're a huge Josh Bailey fan.
You should get a jersey that says Grumpy on the back.
Oh, I'm working
on the front.
I'm working on the merch. I'm working on the merchandise. No worries, grumpy old man. I'm working on it there. I'm working on the designs. You got to give me time. The human cliffhanger. Frank D says here, grumpy old man starting to look alike Uncle Leo. Really
Holy crap. Talk about cut me to the quick. First of all, he looks like the bad guy over there, Razor Ramon. I guess he was Scott Hall then when he was in the NWO. But man, what a shot. Oh my gosh. I don't know how to respond to that.
You know,
well, I guess Leo does look like he's closing in on 60. So maybe.
Oh, goodness. Ross N there says, we need to enjoy this run because the future does not look bright.
This is what the future looks like.
Lights out. I'm going to disagree a little bit. I am. We do have some young pieces that can be important moving forward. We just have to make sure we continue to draft younger, offensively talented players, which we have not shown a tendency to do. We've had a few like Jeffries and DeFore, but we've got good pieces to build around.
Well, maybe we need to stop trading away first and second round draft picks. Maybe we'll give that a shot, because you can tell me, hey, these guys are drafted in the 4th and 5th round. I want to draft offensive talent in the 1st round, not guys like Casper when you got a McMichael on the board, or a Kaliev or a Tomasino. Those are the type of guys you should be drafting, but it doesn't seem like we're interested in that. We just want every game to be 1-0. That's what we want. Mat Barzal, you should not be named.
Frank D coming at you again, on sale at J.C. Penney's. That green collared tee, grumpy old man. Oh goodness, they're coming at you. You're getting fed to the wolves here tonight, grumpy old man.
That's all right. I'm a big boy. I can take it.
Matthew Esther says Bavillier there is on fire there. Adriana B says, hey Adriana, how are you doing there? John P.
Okay, it's Adrian, not Adriana. There's no A in her name. That's Adrian.
I'm sorry, I butcher names. You're gonna have to apologize. It took me 15 weeks to learn how to pronounce Eve's name, so I do apologize there. Adrian, like Rocky, right, Grumpy?
Yeah, like that.
Okay, gotcha. John P. there says, how refreshing to right the ship at the Rags expense. You're not kidding there, John. There's nothing more we enjoy than beating the hell out of the Rangers. I just hope it's not short-lived once the Rangers get everything organized and get rid of College Quinn.
All I know is Mr. Messier jersey. Just looking at him today, I couldn't help. I just kind of scoffed at him. Like, why are you here? This is like a work release program. I mean, why are you here? I mean, is this punishment for you? You got sent here in the jersey? Like, well, yeah. I'm not going to tie it into another movie tonight. I've already talked about 2 movies already.
And Brian J. also saying, is this the last run we have? Age is creeping up, and Lou Lerolo having us cap strapped.
Yep. I mean, I've been saying that for how long, right? It doesn't make it. Enjoy it now. I mean, you're gonna look back on this 3-4 years from now and think these are the glory days.
Grumpy, I'm sorry, I just got quiet. I just read a comment.
Okay, put it up.
And
must be good.
I'm just gonna leave this here, Grump. Jay Rich also says the Oilers have McDavid, we have Trotz. I
told you
he's the real MVP. It might be maybe Jay's related there to Barry. I'll tell you one thing: if you were telling me that we could pick Connor McDavid or Barry Trotz, I'm sorry. As much as I love Barry, Connor McDavid is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a generational talent. It'd be like saying when Sidney Crosby was entering the league and Alexander Ovechkin that you'd rather take a coach over a generational talent like that. You have to have the right coach in place. There's no doubt about it. But you could pick up a guy like a Mike Sullivan. You can get a guy who, Bruce Cassidy. You could find another coach. Barry's unbelievable. But would I take a guy like, would I take a coach like a Sullivan and a freaking Connor McDavid for certain?
Yeah, I like Jay because he's always taking the contrarian. I mean, I consider myself the true contrarian here, but he's taking the contrarian point of the contrarian. So that's cool. I enjoy it. All I'm going to say is I'm going to try to rationalize with him because he's obviously, I don't know, he's got something going on, chemical issues. I don't know what's going on. But all I'm going to say is, again, players win games. A coach has never won a game, never freaking ever. Players win games. What good coaches do is they maximize the talent they have by putting them in positions where they can best succeed. That's what a good coach does. But players win games.
I'm going to liken this to the situation. And I hate to do this because you like the Patriots or you like Tom Brady so much. I'm going to liken that to Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, right? All offseason long last year, anybody who listens to football, you heard all year. Who's going to perform better? Is Tom Brady going to outperform Bill Belichick? Is Bill Belichick going to outperform him? Bill Belichick brings in ex-league MVP Cam Newton. Again, he's cashed out. He's finished for certain. But in the same token, their team was miserable last year. And Tom Brady's towards the tail end of his career, too, is the crazy part about it. If you can have a generational talent, a first ballot Hall of Famer, you've got to take a player like that any day of the week. You think about it, too, right? those generational talents like your Sidney Crosbys, your Alexander Ovechkins, they've all won cups. Even though Connor McDavid's on the Oilers, it would be a colossal blunder if he never wins a Stanley Cup, Connor McDavid. He's too damn talented to never win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, they have issues
They do.
that are beyond Connor McDavid, honestly. But just to piggyback on your Belichick and Brady point, they had the same team when Tom Brady was there 2 years ago, the same cast of characters, same woeful offense. They went 12-4. Scram Newton comes in 7-9, and they were lucky to win 7 games. That's the difference. A great player can elevate others. That's what great players can do. That's what Connor McDavid is capable of doing.
High tides raise all ships for a certain grumpy old man. D-Cut also says this. I did not know this. The rumor has it that TNT is going to have that low-life POS Sean Avery in the studio. I will tell you this much. Sean Avery, I don't like him. He is very charismatic. He's very outspoken, so I do like that factor. And as much as I hated Mike Milbury, I'd like to think that Avery does have a few better takes than Milbury. Hell, we used to deal with Mike Milbury.
If Sean Avery can cut out his personal bias, I think he'll be spectacular in that role. That is going to be hard for him, though. I mean, look at the NBC sports telecast. They got rid of Milbury and Roenick, and it was like, why even watch in between periods? Nobody ever said anything. It wasn't entertaining. I mean, you have to have somebody with some life on those, I believe. Look at the NBA telecast on Shaq and Charles Barkley, right? I mean, if you just had Kenny Smith out there, what a drag. But you got Barkley and Shaq going back and forth. That's what makes it entertaining. You need guys like that.
Who's the little white guy on the show too? I like Kenny the Jet Smith. Who's the white guy that's on there with the glasses?
The host?
Yeah, I can't
Ernie Johnson.
Who?
Ernie Johnson.
He's that entire crew works so well. I'm not a huge basketball fan. I don't really watch until the playoffs. I absolutely love watching Shaq, Ernie, Kenny, as well as Charles Barkley. That is some of the funniest damn TV. I watch them about once a year, and right around the playoff time period, I love it. Shaq and Charles Barkley going back and forth, and it's like, we talk about how you're the same because you're always the same. That's why you're the grumpy old man. You never change, and you're always the same. Just like Shaq is always the same, always pointing at his ring finger there for winning the championship. It's always funny, it's always. That's
what Charles doesn't get it. Charles could say the most intelligent things ever, and Chuck just points to the ring. There you go. You ain't got one of those, Chuck. But that's what it is. Those shows. I mean, you have to have the guy who's the straight man, which is Ernie. I mean, he's the host. He keeps everything calm. Kenny is what he is. Joins a little bit in, but it's Shaq and Chuck. I mean, those are the two that you really that you call in to watch, is them going back and forth one another. I think it's really entertaining. Really entertaining.
I'm going to tell you this. I want to give Jay credit. I do, because I talk about how you're always the same and you're consistent, grumpy. What do I usually say at the beginning of the podcast?
There's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's no shame in Jay's game because he's always the same. Who cares about the TV rights? You should be talking about Barry Trotz thanking him for our success. So, yeah, he's always the same. No shame in his game because he's always the same. Same thing with Jay. Just like that's the same thing there with you, grumpy old man. I'll give Jay credit because he sticks by his guns there for certain. What a Films, another YouTube comment here, says, Grumpy Palmieri hasn't looked effective so far. Can he bring something to this team in the playoffs?
I think he's looked better the last couple of days. And maybe because he's playing on the third line with Pajot and Wallstrom, maybe there's no expectations for him really. Maybe that's freed him up a little. I do think he's looked a little bit better, though. I will say that.
Now, do you think he's going to go ahead and find a little bit of offensive momentum and put it up on the score sheets here in the playoffs?
I don't know. Phil had a valid point. Maybe the shaving of the beard is what's hurting him. Like Samson when they cut his hair off. Couldn't even hold up. He couldn't even hold up a toaster after being able to hold up the pillars of Greece. Couldn't do it anymore. Or wherever Samson was from. I don't remember.
Goodness gracious there. Oh, grumpy old man. We got a comment here. Matt S. there is saying, I wonder if Milbury gets a job. People are not happy. They're hoping that Milbury does not get a job back. I'll tell you one thing.
I don't wish that on anybody, honestly. But Mike's in his 70s now. If he's smart, he's saved up enough money. He doesn't have to work. He doesn't have to work anymore.
Here's the thing. I've been trying to find a way to reach out to Mike Milbury because I'd love to get him on the podcast and keep things civil, of course. I'd love to get Mike on the podcast here because, again, Wednesdays, we're more going towards a format of having a guest in some capacity, whether it's an ex-NHL or whether it's somebody who does go ahead and comment and talk a lot there in the Islanders. We're getting guests there on Wednesday. We're trying to shoot there for ex-Islanders in some capacity, so I'm reaching out here. I cannot find a way to contact Mike Milbury. I'm still searching high and low. I'd love to have him on the podcast. I would, we would keep everything very civil. We would obviously trash Mike as tough as that would be. We'd have to, I just worry about the comment section. I'd have to tell Mike, don't look at the comments. Don't look at the comments, Mike. If Mike ever comes on, don't look at the comments, Mike.
I would say, what would you grade your Roberto Luongo trade on a scale of 0 to 10? And you can't go into negative numbers. I'll give him that out.
Oh, goodness. So you're telling, how funny would it be if we brought somebody on like that, they disconnected and they didn't want to do it after you asked some hard questions. Oh, goodness.
They're part of the Answering Islander questions from their media. They're not used to hard questions. Like the toughest question, like I said, Mike, do you regret your time when you got fired from the Islanders? Oh, I've never heard something like that. Oh, click.
So, goodness there. D-Cut also said the monkey off is back. TJ, appreciate that. And so did Michael T. That is.
I didn't see it. Like I said, I blacked out from shock.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I actually said that. I'm like, holy crap. That's what I said. I'm like, I don't talk to the television when my wife is trying to sleep or something. But I saw that and I'm like, oh, my God.
I guess I just must have missed it because everybody in the comment section was saying, Jerry Springer saying, TJ, Uncle Leo's celebration was Uncle Leo figuratively removing the metaphorical monkey off his back. I guess it shows how vapid I was when I looked at that. I was just like, is he putting up his hood like he's an assassin, like he's sniping out there? Nope. Getting the monkey off his back there. Ethan J there says, on the subject of video games, Grumpy Old Man 10, TJ 0.
Yo. Thank you, Ethan. I love Ethan. Why? Because he complimented me and criticized TJ. Nothing's better than that.
Oh, goodness gracious. JP also says there. John P. also says Uncle Leo in the interview said he was demonstrating getting the monkey off his back when he scored. Okay. I should have noticed it as soon as I saw it, but, I guess I'm not as creative. You wonder how long he was thinking about that, or if that's just something natural that came there. Brian J says, do you guys have a talking hair show? No, we do not have a podcast or live stream where we talk strictly about hair. But again,
it would be very short.
Oh, grumpy. Oh, grumpy old man.
No, the response to that is
I don't know which. No. I don't remember which one it is, Grump. There it is.
Right there.
I couldn't remember which one it is there, grumpy old man.
Yeah, that's a terrible joke.
Brian P there says, I'm pumped about the New York Giants for the first time in 10 years.
I think they need a quarterback, but I think they had a really good draft. I think Gettleman is doing his job there. I know a lot of people don't like Gettleman, but I think he's done a good job there. They do need a quarterback, without a doubt. I don't think Daniel Jones is the answer.
I'm going to tell you one thing. I am not a big believer in ever drafting a running back early in the first round. I'm just not. I know some guys are generational talents like your Adrian Petersons, things like that. I'm just not a fan of drafting running backs early in the first round. That's more on our other podcasts. We talk about that type of stuff, but just to speak on it, not a big fan of that.
Okay. Can I just let it go? It's over. It's 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Let it go. It's over.
Oh, goodness gracious here. Chet 77. Do Islander fans still hate Tavares?
Yes, they despise him. Hold on. Okay. Chet, listen close. Don't say it too loud. TJ's still butthurt over it. We went through it a couple of weeks ago, and TJ went on a long diatribe on how he wasn't butthurt, but everyone knows he is.
Oh, Grumpy, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I don't think I'm butthurt about it. I'm just upset that we didn't go ahead and get anything back in return for him. That's all. Grumpy old man. We've got another call coming in here. Hey, you're live here with TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Who do you have calling in?
This is Lou from the landline.
Hey, Lou Lamoriello, I want to give you a huge congratulations. I do. You now have made the playoffs there 3 seasons in a row. You brought over Barry Trotz. You brought prosperity to the Islanders franchise and organization like we haven't seen in recent time. I do want to give you congratulations, Lou. I do, before we ask you questions. So congratulations, Lou Lamoriello. We'll make sure we got everybody clapping up loud. The fans are excited. Thank you, Lou. So I do want to thank you about that. Grump, what questions do you have there for Lou?
I want to know, Lou, did your wife promise to make sure that you gave Chris the Islanders GM job when you prove a little bit even more feeble-minded than you are now?
There's no personal questions. Rump, that's a personal. Next, please.
Perfect. I got to say, Lou is a master at deflecting any questions that you ask about him. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say your signing of Barry was?
Perfect 10, of course. He was a main target in the 2018 off season, and we got our man. He's the reason why we are again in the playoffs again.
I just wanted to make sure.
I've got a question for you, Grump. You're asking questions like Arthur Staple and Andrew Gross. You're asking questions like the Islanders cartel media. What's going on, Grump?
I didn't want Lou to go in some type of anaphylactic shock by having tough questions asked at him back to back. So I gave him one of those little softballs, which I know he's very deft at handling.
Oh, I do have one question for you, Lou. Now that it seems like Travis Zajac is going to be riding the pine here for the rest of the season, do you feel, I mean, like what kind of went into that? Was it just kind of a trial time period? Because, the rumor on the block was you were offering a 2nd-round pick there for Kyle Palmieri. And as soon as they threw Zajac into the picture, now that upped it to at least a 1st-round pick that you were going to give there to the Devils. I just want to ask, did you bring Zajac here just as a trial, or did you originally bring him in thinking he was going to be the solution there to be, the first-line left winger?
We look at every single aspect of a player and how he fits into the room. And with contingency plans for everything that our organization goes after. There's plans and there's backup. There's plenty of plans for the organization. Next question.
And the follow Grumpy suit, I want to give you an easy question too.
No. That was an easy question. The question, the way it should have been, and Lou, by the way, I love how you just brushed TJ's assertion aside. It was fantastic. This one here will be a little bit more pointed for you. Since you offered only a 2nd-round pick for Palmieri, do you think it was worth upgrading to a 1st and a 4th and 2 players for a guy who's never going to play in the postseason in Travis Zajac?
Like I said, he fits in the room. He fits the character of our organization. You just watch the plans, and there are contingency plans just in case. Next question, please.
Lou,
thank you.
I think that's it, Lou. I'll tell you one thing. Pleasure to have Lou Lamoriello on here. I know you're a busy guy. I know
his name isn't Lou Lamoriello. It's Lou on the landline.
Lou Lamoriello on the landline, Grump. It's Lou Lamoriello, but Lou on the landline. I want to give you a big thank you, Lou, there for calling in, giving us a little insight as to what's going on. You added so much context with those answers. I walked in to our conversation completely baffled, and I left with all the answers I needed. You were very, very, very adept with your points, and they were very descriptive. So I thank you there, Lou, on the landline.
I heard the need for a notable NHL personality. That's why I decided to call. No need to wait for Mike Millsbury. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Thank you so much, Lou. We love you.
Thank you, Lou on the landline there. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Once again, that is 2 minutes pessimistic.
2 minutes pessimisticking. I love it. Love it. Chet also says Crosby is soft AF. And he also says superstars don't get in trouble. Crosby basically has diplomatic immunity.
That's right. Very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Woulda Films also said, TJ, I agree. Crosby complains about everything. I just hope Barzal doesn't go down that road.
Well, here's the thing. He doesn't get the results Crosby gets. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sid's a bitch.
Oh, come on there. Greg Foss also says there, Crosby learned from the king of whiners, Mario Lemieux.
No, Mario was not Mario was no way was Mario like Cindy. No way.
Adrian there saying, hey, please notice me. Adrian, we notice you there. Sorry, it just takes us a while to get to some of the comments here. Usually on the Saturday show, but we notice you. We're getting to the comments there.
Let me just say one thing to Adrian. We are not ignoring you, and I'm going to compliment TJ here. He does everything. Like I said, this is what you see what I'm doing here. This is what I do. TJ does everything. He handles the phone calls. He handles all the comments. He puts the show to. He does everything. Honestly,
all right. I don't need you to my horn.
I don't want to be too complimentary, but the fact that he got your name wrong, that was all on him because he's a freaking boob.
We'll have to issue a written apology. I'm sorry, Adrian. I cannot read. I do not have the ability to articulate their names. I always screw that up. Anyway, moving right along, Matthew S. also says, yeah, the embellishment fine was absurd.
Without a doubt. Ridiculous. I think even Butch had to say, and it hurt him. I think, it wasn't warranted. It was painful for him to spit out.
Chet 77 says, grumpy old man's like Don Cherry, but drunk. I love it.
Don Cherry was absolutely freaking great.
I still like listening to Don Cherry's podcast.
He's great. Tells it like it is. You can never go wrong if you tell the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We lost a few of the comments. The comments have built up too much, so I do apologize here. Again, so some of the middle comments won't be seen. I do apologize, but we're getting right along there. Mike L there says the third line chemistry is finally coming together. Mike L, I was going to say, best third line in all hockey.
They're not as productive as when Beauvillier was on that line.
No, they're not.
But if we can get something out of it, if Palmieri can fit there, I think they've just been okay. I don't think they've been great. Remember, the goal that Wallstrom scored was on the power play, so it wasn't like he was out there with the third line. I'd like to see a little bit of production from them. They don't hurt us defensively, though.
Darren Z says Lee and skate should not be in the same sentence.
Not true. Lee can't skate. So as long as there's a negative in between, you can use them in the same sentence. Sorry, Darren. You were close.
Jay Rich says, I hope that puck to the face wakes up 21. No, you can't say stuff like that, Jay. Okay. I think he's waking up. I think we're going to start seeing some production. I feel like I keep promising it. I feel like I'm a man who owes some money, some capacity. The money's going to be there. I promise. We're going to get you that money. We're going to get it to you. I really do honestly, though, believe it's going to eventually click there for Kyle Palmieri. I just hope it's, at the time period the playoff starts, a little earlier would be nice too. Maybe get hot here.
All I can say is if Barry Trotz was such a great coach, Kyle Palmieri would already be woken up. Oh, sorry, Jay Rich.
No. Stop. Come on. I know you're just messing around. Come on, Crump.
Yeah, I'm allowed to have some fun here. What's wrong with that?
I'm just giving you a hard time. Coach Tommy B says, and Beauvillier owns the Rangers. I think he meant to say Barzal. I think that's a typo there because Barzy does own the Rangers, but maybe Bailey does too. Maybe the three Bs own the Rangers.
Bailey probably bought a couple of Ranger jerseys for his kids because they'd rather have Zibanejad jerseys than Josh Bailey jerseys. That's what I think.
Oh, goodness.
Or Panarin jerseys.
Oh, come on, guys.
Shesterkin, DeAndre Miller, anybody but Josh Bailey jerseys.
Oh, Jesus. There. Mike M there says, can we thank Barry Trotz for beating non-playoff teams? No, Mike, come on there. It's.
Hey, no, but think about it. I know Mike was being funny. And it was funny. I like it.
Yeah.
But you have to beat the non-playoff teams to make the playoffs. If you got a team that, hey, we're really good against the big teams, we're 55%, 60%, but then you're 50-50 against the lower teams, you're not going to make the playoffs. You have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. You have to be able to.
You have to do that, and you also have to at least split or play well there against the better teams. That always bodes well there for long-term success. Coach Tommy B also says, be happy, Islanders fans.
Very true. And once again, that is a credit to Barry Trotz, where he gets the team for the most part. There's sometimes no, but for the most part, they never played down to their opponent's level. They very rarely do.
Think about how many good teams do that too, where they'll play a team like the Sabres, or they'll play a team, like the Devils, and they'll completely shit the bed and lose 3 or 4-0. You do not ever see anything like that under a Barry Trotz coach team. You don't.
And that's also teams that are really talented tend to do that occasionally as well, because they forget the work that has to be put in because they're supremely talented, where that's certainly not a risk with this team.
Tommy B, he did pull the information. First time the Islanders have made the playoffs 3 years in a row since 2004.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, think about it. We're used to missing the playoffs 5, 6, 7 years in a row.
Frank K here says, it was joyful to see the Rangers crumble, especially Panarin.
I don't think Panarin crumbled. I think we just had a really good game plan to shut him down, and they did. They did. Kudos to the defense, without a doubt. The whole defensive structure of the team the last couple of games. Here's the thing. We're better than the Rangers, and, they got College Quinn. Thank you, D-Cut, College Quinn from Isles Misery, which I'm an honorary.
You've been knighted an honorary member of.
Honorary member. I just want to make sure I mention that. But yeah, I mean, they need a better coach. And honestly, if the Rangers had a better coach, I would. I don't want to say I'd wonder what Barry Trotz could do with them, but a team with that type of young offensive talent, with a Barry Trotz system, could be watch out. They need a better coach, though, without a doubt.
Gotcha, grumpy old man. Absolutely there. Nick D says, great game tonight. Hey, TJ and Grumpy, do you guys think the Islanders will finish in third place? Keep up the great work, guys. Grump. I'll let you take a crack at this first. Do you think the Boston Bruins are going to surpass us there and we'll sit in fourth, or do you think we're going to end up here in third place?
I am not. I know Boston has 2 games against the Rangers. They have us, and I think they have Buffalo a couple of games.
So the Boston Bruins schedule is as follows. They play the Devils twice, they play the Rangers twice, they play the Islanders once. That's the second to last game of the season, and they play the Capitals once. So you want to talk about May the 10th is going to have huge and major implications. That is for certain, ladies and gentlemen, as to the seeding there of 3 or 4. Who's to say this too? Who's to say the Islanders can't go ahead and finish higher up on the board? We don't really talk about that, but we play now the Devils. We play the Devils and the Sabres twice the remainder of the season. We play the Devils twice here, the next 2 games on Monday and Tuesday. Then I was looking there at Boston's schedule. I'm sorry. We play the Sabres twice on Monday and Tuesday. Then we play the Devils on Thursday and Saturday. And our last game of the season is against the Boston Bruins on May the 10th.
I think it's going to come down to the last game. They have a game in hand. They're a point behind. They're obviously their toughest game before us is Washington. Like I said, when they lost to Buffalo and Pittsburgh last week, they certainly should have beat Buffalo. And they kind of laid down for Pittsburgh one day. They were in the driver's seat and split the bed. Here's the thing: we can't lose. We cannot afford to lose. That's all.
Well, here, I'm going to share this to you as well. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Islanders might actually finish higher than third. And here's the point, Grumpy. Here it is. So when we're looking here at the schedule, the Washington Capitals are only 1 point ahead of us. I'm sorry. They're 1 point ahead of us. They've got the Rangers twice, the Flyers twice, and then the Bruins the last game of the season. Again, the Capitals the Capitals are 2 points ahead of us there. Anything can happen. I'm not saying, they're gonna lose to the Rangers, they're gonna lose to the Flyers. You never know, but we talked about it. The Islanders do a good job of taking care against the lesser competition. They don't go ahead and slip up and lose those games. And who's to say maybe the Capitals don't let one slip, and we're not in a neck and neck battle there to the last minute. Maybe we could finish second there in the division.
Yeah, maybe.
It's really close. Think about this. I know the Bruins are 2 games. They have 2 games in hand over the Penguins, but think about how close this division is. 5 points separates the first place team in the division from the last place team. And remember, there's 2 games in hands for that team who's in 4th place at the moment.
Yeah.
So you talk about a very, very close and tough division. I mean, it's going to come down right to the wire as to where the finishing line ends.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. All 4 teams are fairly evenly matched. It's been evident for quite a while these were going to be the only benefit that I was hoping we could get some home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs anyway.
The best team on home ice this season, so that's
Yeah.
for certain. Would have been a huge benefit. Yeah, to speak about the Bruins too, the last 10 games they were 8-2, so they're definitely picking up their game. And the Penguins 7-2-1. The Islanders seem to be riding the ship here a little bit. Hopefully they'll build some momentum. I know it's against the cellar dwellers, but hopefully we can carry that over into the first round there of the playoffs. Moving right along. Mike L says Pajot on the first line. I'd have to agree. The next 2 games versus Buffalo would be a perfect time to do it. I'm just not sure they're going to mix anything up. I think they like Pajot on the third line. He's like a Swiss Army knife. He does a little bit of everything. I would love to see Pajot on the first line. I'm just not sure that Barry's going to switch that up, and I don't blame him either. Don't fix what's working for you. Don't fix what's working for you right now.
You want to be strong down the middle for every line. That's why Pajot's not moving. You're not bringing Zajac back in. That was a failed experiment. He was.
Tommy B also says making the playoffs. Coach Tommy B says making the playoffs does mean something special to my fellow Islander fans. Be proud. Yeah, I think we are proud, but the thing is, it's a fine line, right? We're ready to take the next step. I'm ready for it to be, a team to where it's no longer about us making the playoffs, where we change the mindset as fans, we change the mindset of an organization. It's expected every year to make the playoffs, and I think we're headed to that direction. It's now. Our expectation and our goal is to win a Stanley Cup. Making the playoffs no longer is something we can hang our hat on. It's definitely something to be excited about. Going forward, though, I think that's where we're going to see, the shifting of the fan base, the shifting of the team, the shifting of the franchise. Where no longer is it every year, important to make the playoffs. It's expected.
Yes, that's where we should be right now. We're expected to make the playoffs, and that's all because of Lou and Barry, honestly.
Absolutely, they're grumpy old man. And then Mike L says Panera not having a shot on net the last 2 games. If we can continue to shut out the star players, we're in good shape, especially with unreliable Mayfield on defense. Yeah, as much as we love Mayfield, Jesus, he has been.
It's not been a great year for him. It hasn't.
No,
it hasn't. But like I said, the Rangers aren't the Capitals. They're not the Bruins, and they're not the Penguins. I said it last week when we won. We beat the Rangers, steamrolled them. Like, just pump the brakes a little bit. They're not the upper echelon teams.
Do you remember when I told you things are never as bad as they look? They're never as good as they look. I told you. I really think if we can get some momentum started, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if we don't have a chance seriously to win the first round of the playoffs. I really would. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. I think if we get, the number 2 seed where we have home ice advantage against whoever we're playing against number 3, I think I put us as a favorite to win. I know we haven't looked great as of late against the Capitals. I mean, but who's to say if we've got home ice advantage over the Boston Bruins? Let's say the Capitals fall off a little bit because everything is really tight. I take the Islanders as a slight edge. It's early yet. I think things can change, but that's just how my initial reaction, gut feeling is, Grump.
Well, I just think having Laviolette there is big for Washington. He's not Reardon. He's not scared of Barry Trotz next to him.
I was talking about Boston, but Laviolette, much better coach than Reardon. But I think, Boston, based off the 5 wins we had earlier on in the season against them, they did add Taylor Hall. So I'll be interested to see if that changes the picture there long term for them here this year. Brett W., like the Facebook picture, he says, Ross the Boss is a fighter. Matt Martin hardly fights anymore.
I like that little picture that he's got for his Facebook picture. That's an old play off the band Ugly Joe.
Huh. Really?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Didn't know that there. And John P. also says, Mary Tyler Moore Productions. Outstanding trivia, Grump.
That's right.
Fans are saying there, I think it has to be Pittsburgh. They would like to play Pittsburgh. See, I absolutely hate Pittsburgh, and it would drive me insane if we lost to Pittsburgh.
Cindy owns us. Cindy owns us.
Yeah. Everybody's saying here, Mark A. also saying, I want Pittsburgh in the first round.
Maybe it's because we haven't played them in a while. But they've been
right. It's been our hearts, our vision has grown. It's more of a fond and distant memory. But I do not like Pittsburgh. I don't want to face up against Pittsburgh.
they're
Does own us.
they're better now than they were when we played them earlier in the year.
Yeah. Oh. Whoever we play, J. Rich says we lose in 5 in the playoffs.
All right, Jay's. I don't know, man. He's shifting gears on me, downshifting with Barry as coach. We should win a 4-game playoff series in 3.
Here we go. Ross N says when the Islanders win the first round of the playoffs, Grumpy has to smile. Holy crap.
Actually, I smile quite a bit, just not on this podcast when I'm talking about the Islanders.
Brett W. there also says Grump should wear either a Bailey or a Butch Goring t-shirt or jersey. I'm sorry.
I'd like to wear Butch's helmet, but I don't think it would fit on my fat head.
Frank K says Dwayne the Pain Sutter, number 12.
That's how I would rationalize wearing 12. Without a doubt. I won't even tell you what I'll do.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'll just wait. You'll make that as a prize there for us. Nick D also says, doesn't matter who we play, who we start off with in the playoffs, we need to play well, hard and strong. All 4 teams are going to beat each other up in the first round. That is for certain. It is going to be physical hockey. If you're just a general hockey fan, watching the East first round of the playoffs is going to be entertaining as hell.
Yeah. I would love, honestly, from a fan perspective, I would love to see Washington and Boston. They truly hate one another, and they've gone at it numerous times this season already. I mean, that one's going to be a battle. It really will.
Absolutely. Tommy B also says, Coach Tommy B says the Drive for 5 is having a goodbye to the Coliseum tailgate this Saturday, May the 8th, upcoming. I'll tell you one thing. That's right. We never talked about it, right? It'll be the last game there. In the Collie.
Well,
I mean, so I mean, that's going to be the last game, unless they are running late on the construction, everything done like that. But it's going to be the last game in the Coliseum. I know we said that before, but
is that the last? Is every other game we have on the road?
Again, so May the 8th, which is Saturday, that is going to be our last home game.
Oh, okay.
We have one game on Monday against the Boston Bruins, and that's the end of the regular season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. John P. also says Godfather 1 and 2 are perhaps the greatest of all time.
Without a doubt. Tremendous. 2 tremendous movies.
Jay Rich said, if the Islanders win a cup, man up and get a Bailey tattoo. Wow.
It'll be one of those henna tattoos that come off after a while. There's no way. Here's the thing. I don't even have my kids' names. I don't have any. Here's the thing. I'm a freaking weenie, people. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm scared of needles. I couldn't imagine somebody sticking a needle to me 1,000 times to put Josh Bailey's name on there. Man. No.
Darren Z says Grump has to do it if Leo bags a series game winning goal. Holy crap.
Yeah. Big. You know what? Yeah. All right. Hey, I love it. I love all the suggestions, honestly.
Eves, our friend here.
Eve, not Eves. Take the S off.
Eve Leggins says, I wonder if this year's trade acquisition was the worst in Islanders history. No.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. It's not been great, though, for what we gave up. It's not been good. The Vanek deal was pretty bad, too.
Paul Feinstein says, grumpy old man's punishment is to be nice to all of his whipping boys the whole season. He must drink the Lou Lemonade. Punishment for TJ. Grump can't be interrupted at all next season.
No! Paul is on to something. Paul is on to something.
You would, if I can't interrupt Grump a little bit, oh my God.
Oh, man. But I couldn't go a whole year. You know what? I could go a whole year, but it would be sarcastic. Oh, look at Croc. Did you see him miss that shot? He tried his best, though. I could see a lot of that coming in.
You're going to be part of the Islanders cartel media. But anyway, Mike L. also has a comment here. Do we change up the lineup coming off these last 2 games, or do we keep the lineup the same?
Yeah, they're going to keep it the same. That's one thing. If you learned anything about Barry, when he finds something that works, particularly if there's a bunch of old guys in it, and he doesn't have, a reason. If it's going good with the young guy, if they can he doesn't want to play them. So if they do anything that doesn't produce, they'll wind up sitting. But if he's filled up with old guys, as long as they're winning, he's keeping the line the same. That's been pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, for certain has. Nick D also says there, when the playoffs start, it's going to be a completely different game. I think you'll see the Islanders flying high against the Capitals or the Penguins.
Gonna fly now.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness gracious here.
The Capitals and the Penguins are Apollo Creed, and we're Rocky. Actually, we're Spider Rico.
I'm just to say, Darren Z says Bailey poked that ahead of him, talking about that primary assist and not giving him credit for.
No. He was just trying to clear the zone. He wasn't trying to make a play. Just get out of the zone so I can get off the ice. That's probably what he was saying.
Oh,
let somebody with more talent get on here.
Oh, goodness gracious, old man. The grumpy old man. Jay Rich also says, if it's easy, why don't other coaches play the style with the same talent as the Islanders? And here's the thing. I think we've touched on this before. Star players, for the most part, do not buy in and do not like having to subjugate the offensive game to play defense. Do you think Connor McDavid would be excited and titillated with the fact that, hey, now instead of me worrying about producing offensive production, more being heavy on the forecheck, maybe a coast a little bit coming back there on defense, but I'm looking to go ahead and break out of the zone and create a goal. Now I have to worry more about putting effort into the defensive side of the puck and not necessarily looking for those breakout opportunities and chances unless they're prime opportune chances there for us. Most players, most star players don't like it. Think about it. Alexander Ovechkin, it took him a while to buy into the Barry Trotz system. It took him a while. 5 years. 5 years until he finally bought in. And when Alexander Ovechkin bought in and said, I'm actually going to commit to coming back playing defensive side of the puck and I want to win a Stanley Cup, he said, I want to do everything about it. They finally did. It's just really tough for those superstar players really to subjugate their game. It really takes a special player to do that.
You can't, for the most part, punish star players. He could never punish Ovechkin. Never. Couldn't do it. You couldn't punish a guy like McDavid. Couldn't do it. He can do it to Mat Barzal because he's young yet. But once you achieve you think he could do that with Crosby or Malkin? Absolutely not. And here's the thing. Players want to show off their skill. That's what they want to do. If they're goal scorers, you're going to get some bite back from the most. We don't have a whole lot of offensive talent. So it's easy to get that type of buy-in. But if you had a bunch of guys that were really talented offensively, I think it would be more difficult.
Could you imagine the culture shock the Edmonton Oilers would have? And the thing is, I try to play devil's advocate, right? Because when Barry Trotz inherited this team, they scored a lot of goals, couldn't play any defense. Everybody bought in. But you think on a team like Edmonton where they have a whole bunch, I'll use like highbrow type players. Do you think and again, defense non-existent for the most part. Do you think they would automatically buy in? Do you think in Toronto they would automatically buy in with the Austin Matthews, the John Tavares is? Do you think those type of teams would automatically buy in?
No. But that said, more to Jay's point, Barry's won one cup. One out of all the years he's been coaching. So it's not, like I said, that's really good for regular season play. You can win a lot of games. But when it comes to playoff time, the teams that have the most talent are the ones that usually win. They just are. And it doesn't matter what style or system you play. Look at Tampa last year, right? You want to play that style against them? No problem. We'll find some other way to beat you because we're just more talented than you are. It's the way it is.
Gotcha.
And Tampa plays a really strong defensive style too, just different than ours.
Moving right along there. Tochon B there says, TJ and Grumpy, are you ready for the playoffs? Grumpy, you ready for the playoffs?
I'm ready. Well, no, not yet. I'll be ready like on May 12th.
Oh, goodness.
That's probably the first playoff game, right? I don't even know who we're playing yet, so. I knew we were going to make the playoffs.
Coaches win titles. That's a fact. I'm sorry. Like I can tell you here, it's important to have a good coach. It really is. Coaches do not win cups. Coaches do not win championships. Coaches don't win. They just don't. They do help for certain. They do. And here's the thing. It's almost impossible to win a championship with a bad coach. I'll give you that. But if you have an excellent, spectacular coach and your cast and crew isn't very good, it's a uphill climb and it's near impossible to win a cup. It is. We talked about this too. Look at the Washington team that he won the cup with, right? Alexander Ovechkin, first ballot Hall of Famer. Nicholas Backstrom, he'll have over 1,000 career points, and he'll have over 1,000 career points. John Carlson, if he continues on his way, could be a Hall of Famer. You have a lot of guys that are Hall of Fame caliber players on that team, so it's worth taking that into account. Also, how many Hall of Fame caliber players do you think are on this Islanders team right now? Zero.
Well, zero. If he stays with the Islanders forever, zero.
Mat Barzal is not a Hall of Fame caliber player at this point in time. I love him, but I won't put it.
I'll say if he played for another team, he would be. He'd be Hall of Fame caliber. If he played for another team, not this style though. All I'll say is look at all the talent that Barry had all those years in Washington. They could never beat Pittsburgh. And they were the most talented. They win President trophies every year. Could not beat Pittsburgh. Those are just facts.
Yeah, absolutely. There again, it's near, and let's say it again, it's near impossible to win a Stanley Cup if you have a great team but a hideous coach. But it's the same way around. If you have a great coach and an average or sub-average team, it's almost still nearly impossible to win a Stanley Cup.
And one other, just more to that. I'm sorry. More just to that point, Frank's point. The whole thing is, let's say you say coaches win. Well, if there's injuries and a team loses, it shouldn't matter then, right? I mean, the coach, it doesn't matter who the players are. If the coach is so good, they should win regardless of injuries, and it just doesn't happen.
Alexander also saying, hey guys, good evening. Tuning in late, Grumpy and TJ. As much as I love being in the playoffs, I still don't think we get past the first round. What do you guys think? I'll tell you, it's all about momentum. It's all about how we finish off the season. All it takes is a team to get hot and a goalie that's hot and on fire. Varlamov now back-to-back shutouts. If Varlamov rolls into the playoffs carrying some confidence in his game like he has all season, and he stands on his head, it's really tough to beat a team with a hot goalie in the playoffs. That's just how it works. So I still think that I'm leaning towards the Islanders winning the first round of the playoffs. We don't know who, and it's tough to say, right? Because we don't know who they're playing. We don't know if they're going to have home ice advantage. So it's really tough to say if we're going to have a first round exit or a victory in the first round.
First of all, it's back-to-back shutouts, 3 in a row for Varlamov.
Sorry.
The thing for me, are we going to be able to score enough in the playoffs? Because our defense and our penalty kill is outstanding right now. But if we can't score, we're not going to win any games. It's just, it's the same issue we've had for a number of years now, right? If we don't score, we don't win. I feel our defense isn't going to let us down. I really don't think so. But you can't expect to win every game 1-0. And remember, there's no more shootouts in the playoffs. You're going to have to score goals. And if we can do that, we'll be okay. If we can't, we won't.
Gotcha here. Moving right along here. Jay Rich also says, the Oilers have so much better talent than us. Why are we a better team? Then why are we a better team? I will tell you this. When we look at the Oilers, they're up 2-1 here tonight. They do have 2 games in hand on the Islanders. Even if they were to win both of those games, they'd be 1 point behind the Islanders there. I will tell you this. I don't think the Oilers have the defensive ability. I don't think their coach is as good as Barry Trotz is. But could you imagine if a guy like Sullivan or, it was with the Oilers, how that would look like a different result on the ice?
I think they need better defensemen on that team. That's their weakness. That's their weakness. And if they could scale back the full attack just a little bit, not to our extent, it'd make them a much better team. But that's how you could make them better. They need better personnel, because I think Todd McClellan is a very good coach. So I think if they just scaled back their all offense attack all the time and had a couple of better defensemen, so to speak. I mean, when Darnell Nurse is your best defenseman, your defense ain't real good.
Well, okay, think about it. Tyson Barry's good. Adam Larson.
Okay.
Adam Larson is a top 4 defenseman there for the Oilers. Adam Larson, draft bust there, a whole draft bust for the Devils.
Yeah, but Tyson Barry doesn't play defense. He's an offensive player. You can't have a team of Eric Carlsons back there. I don't care how good you are offensively. At some point in time, you have to remember that defense is part of your position. It says it right in the title. Defense, man. That's what they need. They need more guys who can actually play defense. That's what they need.
And the funny thing is, too, you look at how they've structured the team, right? Even the young defensemen they've brought in, they've drafted, are still guys who have offensive minded. They're offensive minded. I mean, Evan Bouchard, right? He's broken into the lineup here too. He's another guy who's more of an offensive defenseman. He is a defensive defenseman. Like Dmitry Kulikov, I put him more as a defensive defenseman, but they don't have, guys who strictly focus on the defensive side of the puck that much. I think, they do need to scale back a little bit on the full out attack. What is it? I saw a stat that Connor McDavid in the last 14 periods has had 14 points. Holy crap. Insane. Again, the guy's an insane talent. And I'll say it again. If he doesn't win a Stanley Cup before he's retired, it's a shame.
Think about it. Kulikov has passed his expiration date. Larson never panned out to be what he could have been. Barry is just a forward playing defense. Nurse is another forward playing defense. I mean, they don't have guys who actually play defense. That's their issue. Has been for years and years.
We'll get to a few more comments because I know we're about 2 hours and 30 minutes here. We won't be able to get to all the comments here today. Alexander says, do you guys think that Varlamov wins the Vezina?
No.
I don't think so either. I think it's a shoe in there for Marc-Andre Fleury. He's had an unbelievable season here this year. Been great there for Vegas. He definitely deserves it. And good for Marc-Andre Fleury. A guy who's definitely
class guy.
Yeah. He's definitely had some trials and tribulations there, even last year in the playoffs for Vegas. So good for him. Glad to see he's had a huge bounce back season. If the Islanders don't win the cup, I wouldn't mind seeing Vegas and him win another cup, or him win another cup. Not Vegas.
Vegas
another cup.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the hatred that he got when he was in Pittsburgh. I always thought he was pretty good. And, they couldn't wait to get rid of him. And from everything you hear, he's just a first-class guy. Loved by everyone. You root for guys like that. I do. Why do you think I root for the Islanders? Class. We don't have any pieces of garbage on our team. Not a one.
No, that's definitely true. Tommy B also says there, all Palmieri has to do is score one big goal in the playoffs, and the trade is worth it.
I'm going to have to go a little bit more than that. So if he scores an overtime winner in game one and they get beaten 5, that was worth it? No, sorry.
Yeah. I was about to say, as much as I do, he does, if he does come in the clutch for certain, it's obviously favorable on his side. He's got to do more than just have one big goal.
I think he has to be a consistent scorer in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. There, grumpy old man. I've got here from Jerry Springer. We'll end on this here. Whenever you bring up Hammond, Eggers, and Jags, grumpy old man, you never bring up Eberle. Why is that?
He is. It's Matty and the Jags, so he's included in there. I think he's a little bit a step above some of these guys, but he's streaky too. He's streaky as hell. I mean, when he's hot, he's hot. So, I mean, but Eberle's in that boat. He is.
Gotcha there. Frank Hay also says, talking about coaches, they're the teachers. Without education, what knowledge are the players gaining to become the best they could be? That's
what a good coach does. He gets the best out of the talent around him. But if you don't have the talent, I don't care how much you learn. If you got a guy, I'll do the teacher reference. If you have a bunch of students who have IQs of 50, you're not going to have any rocket scientists or anybody who's going to Harvard out of that group. I don't care how good a teacher you are.
Yeah. Again, how much time you put with them, how much time you spend with them. If they're on, let's say, a reading level of like a grade 5 and you walk in, they're in 8th grade, you're not going to be able to work miracles in 1 year and be able to say, hey, now we've got you where you need to be. And it's going to be tough to get them up there. It's good and important to have a good coach. Coaches do not win you championships, ladies and gentlemen. If you think that, you've never played a sport. I can tell you, you've never played a sport at a very, very high level. I can tell you, played at high levels, coaches can help. Coaches can also destroy with hideous decisions. It's important to have a good coach. You're never going to win with an average team with a great coach. It's very tough. It's very tough. I can't remember the last time I've seen an average team or a team composed of average players win, a championship because I've had an excellent coach and the coach is brought in there. I really can't remember that.
No.
In a big moment, the talent shines. And you have to have the coach, you have to have the game plan, but you also have to have the talent. If you don't have the talent, it's really tough to win.
Right. I mean, a great coach can take mediocre talent and make a good team, but not a championship team. They just can't. And remember, it's not like we have Barry Trotz or Bill Belichick coaching against Joe Montadotz and Mike the Greek Ioannidis. They're coaching against other guys who are pretty darn good coaches too. So, I mean, sure, he makes College Quinn look like a clown out there because it's a coaching mismatch. But when you get to the highest levels, like I said, look at everybody in the East. They're all excellent coaches who are in the playoffs. Excellent, every single one of them. So the coaching, the difference isn't a whole lot.
Absolutely. We got a few more comments here real quick. Ariel there, Cornfield, says, if Bailey can do what he did last year in the playoffs, that would be nice. For certain it would. He led the team in points last year in the playoffs. If he leads the team in points here again in the playoffs, I will be happy as no other.
I'd be willing to make a prop bet that's not going to happen.
I'm not going to say anything like that. John P. also says the comp opportunity window for this team, as we know, is finite at any given chance. What is the Islanders' window?
2 years.
2 years. I really believe it's 2 years there until we have to start making some serious changes to the makeup of the team. If you're able to get rid of good.
I think we should start making a slow transition now. But we don't have anything coming in. See, that's the whole thing. It's tough to make the transition away from it when you don't have any talent in the pipeline. You have no first round picks to replenish whatever you have down there in the minors. And that's why it's a struggle for us going forward. I'd feel so much better if we had a loaded pipeline and then it's like, okay, well, we'll ride these guys and swap one or two out every year. Then it's just like, okay, we're just going to keep it going. That's not the case with what we have as starters and at their age and what we have in the minors right now. This is a gap.
And Jay Rich also there says, yes, but talking about Ovechkin, when he did buy in, they won a cup. You just answered my question. Here's the thing. Not all players are willing to buy in. That's the point. Alexander Ovechkin, it took 5 years to buy in. 5. And the thing is, before he even bought in, there were still rumors they were going to get rid of Barry Trotz anyway. Hey, they do a great job on the regular season. They have great production, but they never get past Pittsburgh. They can never go ahead and get the monkey off their back there with Pittsburgh. They can never fix that. Yeah, so, it's worth taking all that into aspect and account. It took 5 years for Alexander Ovechkin to buy in. 5.
And the biggest thing is Barry is a great coach. Okay. You want to qualify it. Washington made no effort to keep him after winning the Stanley Cup. They made absolutely no effort to keep him as the head coach coming off a Stanley Cup win. That should tell you something. To me, that speaks volumes. The organization no longer wanted him as coach. Maybe they didn't like the way he treated the young players and never gave him a shot, because he certainly didn't there, just like he doesn't here and didn't in Nashville. That's his MO.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Ariel also says they're new to the podcast, for a hard Islander fan, but love how Grumpy is so real, not a flip-flopper. And like some fans would say, he's a realist, and I appreciate it. Yeah, there's not too many fans out there who just tell how they see it there. You get a lot of the rosy, blue and orange. We try to do a good job of playing devil's advocate back and forth there just to make sure we present all sides of the argument. But I'll tell you this. I don't want to cloud this podcast on us getting into the minutia of who's more important, a coach or the players. Because in the end here, this is a day that Islander fans should be happy. We've clinched playoffs. Now we're fighting here for home ice advantage. That is the story of this podcast. That is the story of this snippet. That needs to be the takeaway. The Islanders have 2 games each against the Sabres and then the Devils. We need to come away with points on that. We need, if we can, bring a home ice advantage for the Islanders in the playoffs. That would be huge. I think it bodes well for success in the first round of the playoffs and thereafter. Grumpy old man, are there any parting comments you have?
No, I agree with you. Hey, glad we made the playoffs. I expected that, though. Going into the season, the season is a success just because we made the playoffs. We need to compete for the Stanley Cup. And for me, a season isn't a success unless we get to the Eastern Conference Finals or whatever win our division through the playoffs. That would make it at least a success. If we don't, we've taken a step back from the previous year.
And here's the thing. I really think that this year, if we had Indersley, it would be different. We'd be a contender. I just fear that, we're a little hamstrung with not having a guy like Andersley or not having a guy who's an elite caliber left winger on the first line. Not saying Andersley's an elite caliber left winger, but just saying him or an elite caliber left winger on this team. If that was the case, I think we'd be really dangerous. I really do believe that. Well, thank you, Grumpy Old Man, for being a part of the podcast. As always, I do appreciate it.
My pleasure. And I'd like to say love and laughter to everyone who listens to the podcast, and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Well, thank you, Grumpy, as always. And thank you, everybody who listened there to the podcast and live stream. We appreciate getting to communicate here with people who do listen to myself and Grumpy talk about the Islanders. It means a lot there. And I hope everybody has a good day, evening, whenever you're listening to this. The Islanders have secured playoffs here 3 years in a row, first time since 2004. As much as we give Lou and Barry criticism when wrong, this wouldn't be possible without them. So I think it's worth us mentioning that. Again, we try to go ahead and pay homage when we can, but also, pick holes in the people's thought process when they're wrong. So again, big kudos to Barry, Lou, and the entire team. 3 years in a row, the Islanders are going to be in the playoffs. Let's hope we are able to make a dent this year in the playoffs, get some home ice advantage. Thank you again, everybody who tuned in and listened.